The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
At this point in the proceedings, Pastorini has looked brilliant here this afternoon in his first game for Oakland.
He's looked super, and that's the mark of a spirit for everything.
Fuller on first down, looking, throwing, and intercepted. Coming back with it is Lester Hayes. Hayes, the four-year man, certainly one of the best cornerbacks, 7 interceptions last season. And the faithful here are hooting and hollering.
Lester Hayes is one of the best cornerbacks in football. Should have made All-Pro last year. But I mentioned earlier, Jay, this is not the time to panic. I don't think Kansas City should come out trying to get back in the game all of a sudden.
Pretty good
Ball's
job.
deflected. But this is the case of forcing the ball, Jay. You know, you want to get back in the game too quickly. I think they have plenty of time, an entire quarter to go.
2 turnovers in 17 seconds.
While he was immune to fear, the quarterbacks who faced him were not.
Washington Redskins, coached by Jack Pardee, losers to the Dallas Cowboys and winners against the New York Giants on this 45-yard field goal by as good a kicker as there is in professional football, Mark Mosley. So the Redskins have lost one and won one against Tom Flory's Oakland Raiders. Opening day in Oakland, the Raiders have defeated Kansas City, and a bitter defeat in overtime on this Dan Fouts pass that was lost in the sun by Lester Hayes, caught by John Jefferson, who compounded the injury by rolling into the end zone. And for Lester Hayes, why the sun on me? The NFL on CBS, the Washington Redskins versus the Oakland Raiders. On the 25. We have 6 minutes and 40 seconds left. You see New England leading Seattle by 3 in the fourth. Theismann off the hands of Thompson, intercepted by Lester Hayes. Hayes to the 20, and down he goes. Ricky Thompson had it go off his hands, and Lester Hayes makes the big interception.
Well, we talked about the high pass that is deflected. Here's an example. The ball's a little high. It's tipped. Lester Hayes comes up with a big play.
Again, let's go back and see Theismann getting some heat. Play action with Wilbur Jackson. Just did get away from Cedric Hartman. And there's the reception off the hands of Ricky Thompson. Finally picked off by Lester Hayes at about the 8-yard line. And Hayes brings it back to the 20.
Between Oakland's nickel defense and the Bills is that they employ 2 linebackers, where the Bills employ 1. Let's see what happens.
Buffalo coming up to the line of scrimmage in the shotgun at the 42-yard line. It is 3rd down and 5 to go. Joe Ferguson waiting. Calling his signals. Long count. Now he has the snap and drops back in the pocket. He throws out. It's intercepted at the 45, down to the 40, down to the 30, down to the 25, down to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. And scoring is Lester Hayes. Lester Hayes stepped in front of the intended receiver and took it back for a touchdown. So there's the 5-yard penalty that can really hurt. And now Oakland all of a sudden is on the scoreboard, and it's 17-6. And it's a different looking ball game. Ferguson dropped back, looked out to his right, and Hayes stepped right in front of the intended receiver and just took off for the score. So the intercepted pass and the ensuing run back, and just like that, Oakland is back in this game. And here is the extra point try by Chris Barr. That has stunned this crowd. Here's the snap, the put down, and the kick, and it is good. So don't go away. The Raiders have struck quickly, and the Bills lead is 17-7 with 12:54 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
30 WBEN.
Stan Barron with Van Miller and Don Gilbert at Rich Stadium, where the score now is 17-7. Oakland, without a first down, without being on offense, intercepted a Joe Ferguson pass thrown well out to the right from the shotgun, and went about 48 yards for the team.
Dan Dornick replaces Jeff Moore in the Seattle backfield. That was the 30th catch of the year for Sam McCullum. He's got 6 touchdown receptions. He's number 9 in receiving in the American Football Conference. A season he won't soon forget, I can assure you.
Here comes Hendricks
from the blind side. Throws it downfield, and Larson almost made a great play. The coverage by Lester Hayes was ideal. He had inside position. Larson, without getting offensive interference, tried to go up over him to catch the ball. But Hendricks came on the blitz.
Or at least make sure that Hayes did not come up with the interception. But Ted Hendricks was the one who ruined that play, untouched on the backside of that. And, of course, that is... And you have a running back trying to block him who may be 5'10 and 180 or 190. It really is a mismatch. And if there's one thing that has really cost Jim Zorn in Seattle any consistency in offense, it has been that blitz by Ted Hendricks.
That's a good point, Bob, because I think the guy blocking him on that occasion was Jim Jodat out of Carthage College at 5'11", 213, and he gives away about 8 inches in height.
And about 35 pounds, too.
6 defensive backs being used now by the Oakland Raiders on 2nd down and 15.
Blitz again.
Zorn has time. Intercepted. Lester Hayes, the flag is down at the 30-yard line to the 27. Interception number 5 on the year for Lester Hayes, but a flag is down. And it may be for naught.
And Sam, he threw it right to Lester Hayes.
Nope, It's against Seattle holding.
Hold. And here, 76. Decline. First down.
The holding call was against Steve August. Listen to this crowd.
I'm telling you, you're going to watch this pass, and Jim Zorn throws it directly to Hayes. Nowhere close to his receiver. The receiver's about 3 yards inside. Look at there. Right to him. Intended for Largy. As we said, Zorn has a bad back. In the first half, he was 7 of 17. And now that interception once again gives Oakland tremendous field position.
Lester Hayes went into this game tied for second in the AFC in interceptions with 4. That is obviously in the half, maybe 2 yards shy of the first down. And the clock continues to run. We're under 6 minutes to go. A gain of 9. It'll be third down and a very long one now for Seattle in their hurry-up offense. Rod Martin made the stop, along with Lester Hayes. Hendricks, the outside linebacker, is lined up on the inside. Zorn will throw it on third down, and he fires it. It's intercepted. Lester Hayes' second interception of the day, his 6th of the year, and that should just about do it.
Total domination of the Oakland defense and the Seattle offense. They've restricted the rollout that Seattle's been so successful with for the last 3 or 4 years. And Zorn, I don't think, saw Hayes at all. Largent was standing there, but Hayes came out of nowhere. Look at Matusak. Believe me, when you get, look at there. When you get a defensive lineman in your face most of the day, you know when they're about to be there, and it's just disrupted him enough for those interceptions and a lack of real offense.
And on that graphic you saw, Lester Hayes has both of them. This is a young man who led all the cornerbacks in the National Football League with 7 interceptions last year, and he is just an outstanding prospect.
Cornerback Lester Hayes, number 37, picked off passes. Though one of Hayes' interceptions in this game was called back, he led the entire NFL in a secondary that topped the league in interceptions. Spirited defense overpowered Cincinnati. As one of 24 Raiders in only their first 4 pro seasons, All-Star Lester Hayes made things happen along with Monty Jackson, Mike Davis, Randy McClanahan, Dwayne Osteen, and others.
Fairly interesting statistic you're talking about that, Howard. They've won every game in which they've rushed 40 times or gained 200 yards rushing.
Third down and about 9, maybe a little more than 9. Lawrence McCutcheon single setback, 4 wide receivers for Seattle. And Oakland has tended to blitz on this situation. And here they come. Zorn picked off Lester Hayes. His 9th interception of the year. Lester. That ball was deflected, I believe, and Hayes was there. But it was the one mistake, Frank, that Seattle could not afford. It's what they've been doing in the late minutes of every game, because now a field goal can win it for Oakland.
He did get the blitz, and here's the thing he's been criticized most for. I don't think he saw Lester Hayes out of Houston and Texas A&M. I think he didn't see him coming from the other side. Hendricks could have touched it a little bit.
I thought he did.
Maybe he did.
I'll tell you one thing, Lester Hayes, the kind of season he's having, that's his 16th interception in less than 2 years. He is right up there with the best in football today.
There's Lester Hayes. I don't understand that call, Don. You don't need that kind of yardage. All they have to do is get the field goal.
Lester Hayes leads the NFL in interceptions with 9 and has had 3 called back.
Get your hands up in the air. And this is the other side of the field, but the Philadelphia Eagles have to lead the NFL in deflected passes at the line of scrimmage.
And you watch Hayes, and we'll keep our eye on him. He's had a brilliant season. Many feel he's the best cornerback in the NFL at this moment.
I have a feeling, I'll go out on the limb, the first team that scores, I think, is going to win this game.
All right, we'll mark that one down, Bob Trumpy. Ball at the 45 of the Eagles. Jaworski has Harris and Montgomery behind him. And he's moving along for Smith. Intercepted. Lester Hayes, his 10th of the year. And Hayes is to the 30 and all the way to the 36-yard line. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a young man who may well be, not Jaworski, but Lester Hayes, the top pass defender in this league. 10 interceptions. He's had 3 others called back that weren't his fault for the penalty. Otherwise would have 13. And Hayes has been brilliant. He's in his 4th year out of Texas A&M, and here it is again.
Dick, I'll tell you, when Jaworski sits up right here, he was open. That pump cost him an interception. Smith was open early, uncovered. Hayes was sitting on the outside of him and had a chance to come over and make the interception. I imagine when Jaworski looks at the film on Tuesday of that play, he will try to bring back that pump fake he had to the other side, because Smith was open.
And to give you an idea of how big that 10th interception was, it ties the Oakland all-time team record, held by Tom Morrow and Dave.
Also saved the Raiders. Again, the reference to the Oakland Raiders attempt to move from Oakland. So they've been a smashing success both artistically and in terms of sellouts for over a decade in their attempt to move to Los Angeles. Interesting scene, isn't it? Unless that is, Denver decides respecting Ray as your classical coach, started 9 years at the high school, college level. And this game so vital to both these ball clubs, particularly Denver. They would just about drop out of it. You look at the standings in the AFC West. San Diego, as Howard alluded to a moment ago, with a 1-point win over Dick Vermeil's Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. They're on top at 9-4. They must be watching tonight. The Oakland Raiders, of course, with a win tonight, will move into a tie. And of course, we've been talking about our Pittsburgh-Houston game, and you see the Cleveland Browns with a win over the Houston Oilers yesterday on top of that one.
Cleveland's destiny clearly is its own. Their remaining games, Jets, Vikes, and finally the Bengals.
And Oakland, they don't have it easy. They have Dallas here next Sunday. Then they play the Denver Broncos. And then they close with the Giants, the Oakland Raiders. Out of the shotgun, Morton. 2nd and 8, hang it up and look for a flag. Is this? And it's taken by Lester Hayes, and that is Lester Hayes' 11th interception of this season, and he is bringing it back. Time has expired. They could not get the field goal opportunity as time expires on the run back. Dave Studdard made the stop defensively for Denver. But Lester Hayes, he is something else. That's his 18th interception in less than 2 years. You think he's not all pro? Again, time expired on the run back, so Oakland unable to attempt the field goal. Let's look at it again. It was just a throw it up there in the direction of Upchurch and Watson. Hope you might get a deflection and a reception or get a penalty. And even though time might have expired, you would have on the defensive foul an opportunity for the field goal. Such is not the case, however, and the team moves into the locker room. Stay with us for our hack time highlights coming your way.
With all of its reclamation projects, King was of a different nature. A young player that he had wanted from the beginning.
I think you're right. I've never seen this much of that goop put on in my life. Fred Biletnikoff used it that way. But not that much, Frank. That's got to be against the law, isn't it? Well, it sure is messy. Yeah. On the laundry. That's called stickum. Like pine.
40, but they can't block him. He's so quick.
And you know, a 12th draft choice is really up against it when he comes into a training camp because coaches are always waiting to find out what it is he couldn't do. All right, now in this case, they knew he had a bad limb, but they still wouldn't have picked him on the first round. You follow me? It's one of those deals that Oakland comes up with year in and year out, and he just played super.
He's right on the nose of the best offensive lineman the Denver Broncos have, center Bill Bryant. Robinson throws out of the backfield. Free ball, and Lester Hayes has his 12th interception. Lester's caught more than a lot of wide receivers.
We've got a penalty down. It's in the area where it could be holding, but you never know.
Raiders think it is.
Number 54, offense. Decline. First down.
They got the rookie Keith Bishop was in at right guard in a hole, but it of course is declined as the Raiders get the interception. We'll watch again now as Lester Hayes gets number 12. He's the National Football League leader.
And let's watch number 54. Bishop got a piece of Matusak. I'd say rather than let him get your quarterbacks, I'll take the hold.
Yeah. Well, Lester Hayes with 12 interceptions, and 3 of previous interceptions were called back because of penalties. That's how good he's been. We'll be back.
It'll be 3rd and 15 at the 30.
Young quarterback is telegraphing who he's throwing that football to. He followed that tight end all the way. When you do that, that's going to tell the defensive backs where you're going to throw the ball, and you're going to get a crowd around there.
Now they are already within the field goal range of Joe Danello, whose long is 57 yards. Ritter now 50%, 4 of 8 for 31 yards. They're down 15. Peter in motion. Looping it into the corner. Incomplete and almost intercepted. Ernest Gray, the intended receiver, and Lester Hayes had perfect position.
Yes, Lester Hayes leads the National Football League with 12 interceptions. He's going up top. You can take a look at the top of your screen. 37 in the black, Lester Hayes. 83 is Ernest Gray. The ball is up in the air, and that sun, I think, got to Lester Hayes because it looked like he really couldn't locate that football, Charlie, because that is the sunspot area over there.
And the NFL record for interceptions held by Dick Night Train Lane is 14. Hayes, by the way, has had 3 callbacks due to
cavities out there. It's very difficult to run. All right, Minnesota leading Houston 13-3 in the second quarter.
Intercepted at the 31-yard line. Lester Hayes has his 13th interception of the year. Trying to turn it into a 69-yard touchdown, but he is driven out of bounds at the 19-yard line. 13 interceptions for Lester Hayes. 44 yards on the return.
The sun was not in his eyes this time. Number 37, Lester Hayes. Danny Pittman was going up top, and he let him go. The ball hits Lester Hayes right in the stomach. It looked like that the quarterback was going for 38, Billy Taylor, but it was a poorly thrown football. Lester Hayes almost takes this all the way back. You can see that Davis is encouraging him to come on. Quarterback gets involved in the play. 82 is Danny Pittman finally bringing him down. 44-yard return by Lester Hayes. He now has 13, Charlie, and I think that's 1 away from the NFL record.
Night Train Lane set the record of 14. Today from the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, it's the Houston Oilers versus the Oakland Raiders. Today's game is brought to you by Dodge with the new 6-passenger Dodge Aries K and new Ram Tough Dodge pickups and vans. By Anheuser-Busch St. Louis, Brewers of Michelob. Put a little weekend in your week. By United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about. And by new gas-saving Pennzoil. Quality in every extra mile. Ask for it.
Hello, everybody. This is Charlie Jones, Lynn Dawson. And if Charles Dickens was a sports writer, he would say it is the tale of two cities, Houston and Oakland. And for the winner, it will be the best of times. For the loser, the worst of times. As Chris Farr is kicking off for the Raiders. Carl Roaches and Ronnie Coleman are set for the return. Coleman at the goal line. Ronnie's to the tip. 50, 20. And he returns it near the 25-yard in the first quarter. Oakland leading Houston 3-0 on Chris Farr's 47-yard field goal. It was set up by Mike Davis, recovering the ball, a fumble from Earl Campbell. In reality, he simply stood there. Play action, and he is sacked. Lester Hayes got him. The left cornerback was coming. The Raiders had 54 sacks during the regular season, third in the NFL.
You don't expect a cornerback to be coming after you very often in the National Football League because it's double tight end situation. It was the fact that faking that ball, it was a play action pass. He was looking to go to his left, but you're going to see 37 Lester Hayes come into the picture. No one came in his direction, and his responsibility was out in the flat. Since no one came, he went after Stabler, made a big sack.
Loss of 9 on the injury. He will not return. They let go, and he is wrapped up. Lester Hayes got him second sack of the ball game for the Oakland Raiders. And Hayes got both sacks. Now you've got a defensive cornerback flipped it.
Well, he had responsibility. If a back came out his way, he wouldn't be able to do that, but the back went the other way, so he had no responsibility on the coverage. So he just takes off after Stabler, gets him around the neck, and brings him down. A big play once again for Oakland. I'm sure that they haven't shown this. This is something new because Stabler had no idea or no inkling whatsoever that this man, a cornerback, was going to be blitzing.
Up with Dan Pastorini, who was in an automobile accident last night.
Look at all this. See Lester Hayes, all that sticking on his hand. Oh, that's a nightmare. The quarterback's trying to handle football.
Earl Campbell is not in the ballgame offensively. Stabler lots of time. He will be sacked third for the Oakland Raiders. And Dave Browning got it.
He pumped twice. He was looking for his tight end. Dave Gasper was running a crossing pattern going from the left side all the way over to the right. But that just took too long to establish that pattern. And you take it, that was about 5 seconds, Charlie. And if you have 5 seconds to throw, if you can't get it off in 5 seconds, somebody is well covered. You can see he's looking for Casper. Pump twice. Now he goes down to Dave Browning, number 73.
2-minute warning will now be given to both benches. We've got a timeout, and we'll be back. Oakland leads, and then it's picked up from the 27. An attempt of 37 yards, and the tie at halftime. Scramble for the football. I believe it was Lester Hayes that came up with it, or Willie Jones? Lester Hayes came up with it. Willie Jones is the man who blocked it. And time runs out.
And so did Temple. They're very short right now on that field. I'm looking for a real explosive second half. Tony Frisch coming in to kick the ball. He just punted it. It's a low kick. He didn't really get it up in the air. 37, Lester Hayes comes up with it.
Defense Campbell very well. Now, what is Houston going to do?
They're going to have to establish Earl Campbell. They're going to have to do that, whether they do it by running him or perhaps the snake coming up on first down and putting the ball in the air to loosen up those linebackers, because the linebackers are really uptight to that line of scrimmage, looking for the run all the way.
Houston, their own 37-yard line, play action on first down. Has pressure, slips the pressure. In the coverage, it's caught, 24-yard line. Lester Hayes had the coverage on Mike Renfro. 39 yards. That is Renfro's second reception of the ball game. Remember the first one? Sideline pass into the first half.
He was not looking for Renfro. He was looking the other way. Plenty of time. Good pass protection by that line. He avoids a move right here. A lot of other quarterbacks were taken off and run because there was nobody in front of him. But he drilled that ball, and Renfro came up with a big catch, something that they have needed. Now they're in excellent field position, and they can put Earl Campbell to work. There it is. Renfro, 82, wide receiver. Good coverage by Lester Hayes. A couple of yards.
Earl Campbell very slow getting up, but Earl is always very slow getting up.
Yeah, Bump says he's slow going down, too.
Intercepted in the end zone. And out to the 1-yard line, the man in the secondary for the Oakland Raiders is Lester Hayes. Listen to the crowd.
He fires this ball and it ricochets. When it ricochets down there, generally there's a defensive man to make a play, and it does. Lester Hayes, 37, the man that's been making the interceptions all year, comes up with a big play, stop. A scoring drive by Houston. We'll be back in a moment.
The leading interceptor in the National Football League this year. Is he ever happy? Lester Hayes. All right. You look at Lester Hayes, you were talking about during the commercial, he has more stickum on his hand and his elbow pads. I don't think you can pry a football away from him.
Well, he has a lot on, and Oakland is famous for that. I remember Fred Biletnikoff used to hate it because they'd have all that glue on their hands, and it makes it tough in gripping and throwing the football for the quarterback.
Lester is a wide receiver. Wilson has come out. Campbell is the remaining back. So Renfro, Roaches, Casper, and Barber are the receivers. 2nd and 7. Lester, he's in trouble. He is sacked. That is the 4th sack for the Oakland Raiders, and it was Mike Davis who got it.
And you take a look, they've had 4 sacks. 3 of the sacks have been by defensive backs. 2 by Lester Hayes, 1 now by Davis, the other one by Elvin Buffet.
No. Let me just make it. The other one by Dave Brown.
That's right.
Yeah. Just want to make that correction. That is as many times as this man has been sacked in one ball game this year. Boy, that's a big play. Takes it back to the 33. Lost at 12.
Elvin Buffet sacked. Oh, man, hey, that's a trick.
I wanted to get that. The Oilers will come out Troy. They have Billy Johnson and Mike Renfro in as wide receivers. Casper and Barber in as the tight end. Rob Carpenter is the remaining back. Pressure, and it is Mike Davis, the strong safety. 5th sack for the Raiders, and 4 of the 5 have now come from men in the secondary.
Mike Davis has had 2. Lester Hayes has had 2 quarterback sacks, and I'm sure Houston did not expect that. If they did, they didn't have anybody back there to pick up Davis, because you're going to see him coming in right now.
Normally it's a linebacker that comes on a blitz. And the halfback looks for him. If he comes, he stays in, or the blocking back. They don't necessarily look for a cornerback to come.
No, you don't. Out of bounds, whether you catch it or not, it's no good.
That pass that we talked about that he completed during the regular season was to Billy White Shoes Johnson, covered 57 yards for a score. 2nd and 10. The Raiders now will go with 4 down linemen, 5 in the secondary. Roaches and Renfro are the receivers. Campbell, the remaining back.
There's the way you throw it.
And there's the way you defend it. Lester Hayes. Excellent coverage. Perfect coverage.
What a day he's having. He's had 2 quarterback sacks, and for a cornerback, that's virtually unheard of. You don't have that in the whole season. But here you got Renfro going up top. Man-to-man coverage. 37 Lester Hayes with Renfro. Makes an excellent play right there. He turned his head around, didn't lose sight of the fact of where the receiver is. Located the football and knocked it away.
And don't forget also, he had the interception in the end zone.
He has the stick of that glue all over his head here, as well as the rest of his body.
Rob Carpenter in the backfield. It is 3rd down and 10. Flags are down. Pass is incomplete at the 45-yard line. Renfro is claiming pass interference. Lester Hayes had the coverage, but a flag was dropped back at the 30 on the far side of the field.
Well, I know that Oakland jumped. The defensive lineman jumped. I don't know whether they got back or not. May not. Might have been Willie Jones. Here it is.
That is very close to pass interference. Remember on a pass interference call that the defender has an equal opportunity to the football as does the receiver. But you can't go through the man. He almost went through.
Offside, defense, the left side of the defensive line, third down.
And that was Willie Jones, who was the left side of the defensive line. We picked him up. Third down and 5. 36-yard line. Pressure again. Sack number 6, and Willie Jones got it. 6 sacks for the Oakland Raiders. That is the most that Saber has been sacked in any game this year.
They were putting the heat on. Jones got through him, but Cedric Hartman was also in there, so was Ted Hendricks. Matuzak taking an inside rush. The outside, both Hartman and Jones. Jones coming up with the sack. But there were 3 Oakland Raiders right around Kenny Stabler that time.
On the station, shift will be seen at its regular time. Second down and 10.
Tough situation for Houston because you'll take a look at those defensive linemen. Look at them. They're ready to fly. They hit one body line, and that's Kenny Stabler, and they do.
And they do. That is the 7th sack for the Oakland Raiders. Listen to the crowd react to the Ted Hendricks sack.
What a great year he's had, Charlie. 12th year. I think he's done so many things. He has made so many things happen. He creates fumbles. He blocks kicks. He blitzes. Does an outstanding job at that. Pass coverage. Just, as they say, he can do it all.
7 sacks, 65 yards in the... Did I miscount? I must have. They have it third down.
They just changed it on the scoreboard. Charlie, I'd say this is it for Houston.
Pressure is there again. It's intercepted. Lester Hayes.
He'll score.
Lester Hayes. Touchdown. That's it. 20 yards on the interception return.
Kenny knows he needs to go deep to get the 18 yards. He puts that ball up there. He hangs it too long. Look at that 37. Lester Hayes is in great position to come up with the interception. And along the sidelines, there is no one to touch him. He's in for a touchdown.
Willie Jones, go ahead.
He's looking to go to Renfro, running an out route. But he had excellent position. Defense had excellent position on Renfro. Renfro really never got him turned around. And the reason he did it because they had 18 yards to go. So he'd let him catch it in front of him all day long.
Willie Jones and Ted Hendricks were putting the pressure on Ken Stabler. Sellout crowd here, and they are still here. The leader and those that trail. Extra point. It's good. 27-7. Oakland leading with 5:29 left.
Defensively, Oakland has done a tremendous job on this Houston team. This Houston team that has the running of Earl Campbell, who gained almost 2,000 yards with 1,934 yards during the season. The defensive backs have done a tremendous job for Oakland. They have 4 sacks by the defensive backs. 2 by Davis, the safety, and 2 by that man, Lester Hayes.
Not only that, but Lester Hayes came up with that big interception.
Lester Hayes with 2 interceptions and the touchdown. And the reason the miscount on the down was on the false start penalty. You cannot refuse it. It's automatic because it's called and they had the down go over. That was the reason for it.
Vernon Perry also coming up with a big interception in the end zone. Lester Hayes had some kind of game.
Oh, he really had.
Took a hit on that last play and went to the turf, and he's slow getting up.
First down at the Raiders 45, 4:07 and counting, time remaining. Pass is complete to Renfro. Fumbles it. It is picked up by the Oakland Raiders. It is, guess who? Lester Hayes. Hayes reverses. He wants to use up the clock. No, they're going to bring it back. They blew the whistle. They said the play was dead at the 24-yard line. The Oilers will retain possession of the football. Burgess Owens is the man who made the hit.
This was a good throw by Stabler because he had to drill it in there between about 2 or 3 defensive players and over the head of Hendricks. To Renfro making the stop, and hey, that's very close, Charlie. He was up in the air.
I think that's the first call the officials have missed in this ball game.
Take a look at that. He was up in the air.
He lost possession in the air. You're right.
He's got possession of it right now, so it is a catch. He is hit right there. The headgear goes in and knocks that ball loose.
And
it's up in the air.
1 minute and 54 seconds away from winning the wild card game. Mark Van Eegen, he'll pick up a yard. Houston will take a timeout to stop the clock. And this gives us time to remind you that the executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Omeyer, and our coordinating producer for football is Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game has been produced by George Finkel and directed by Ted Nathanson. Technical director is Wayne McDonald. Associate director Richard Klein. And associate producer Michael Hadley.
They've done an excellent job here with the telecast today.
They certainly have. So right now, it will be on Saturday on NBC, Buffalo at San Diego. On Sunday, it will be Oakland at Cleveland. And Bum Phillips will be watching at home on television. Nice man.
Yeah, he's a great man. An outstanding coach. And Tom Flores on the right, along with Steve Ortmeyer with the Oakland Raiders. Flores quietly has done a tremendous job, I think.
He really was. Not many people remember he was your backup quarterback when you won the Super Bowl.
He wears a Super Bowl ring, and he mentioned that Kansas City beat Oakland here for the championship the year that Kansas City won it, and Flores was on that team. So he knows that a wild card team or a team that didn't win the division can go all the way.
It's the first down for the Oakland Raiders.
I asked him before the game, I said, well, are you going to give a pep talk to your players? I see that Mike Carver there expresses what they feel, but Flores says, yes, I'm going in and plead with them, tell them I have a big mortgage and I need to pay for it.
1:13 and counting, time remaining. Mike Van Eegen, as the Raiders will be content just to run out the clock. Again, as I was mentioning a moment ago, but we can be more specific as far as times are concerned. On Saturday on NBC, 3:30 Eastern Time. Starting, of course, with NFL 80 and host Brian Gumbel, it will be the Buffalo Bills against the San Diego Chargers. And then at noon Eastern Time, next Sunday, the Oakland Raiders will go to Cypreville, the Cleveland Browns.
Dave Castro. There's a good formation because you see the man way to the right back there. He is there for one purpose. If there is a fumble, he is there to either make the fumble recovery or make the tackle. It's
15
all over.
seconds and the crowd will take us to the countdown.
Raiders defeat the Houston Oilers in the AFC Wild Card. The final is Oakland 27 and Houston 7. In the twilight of Oakland, they win by 20. We'll be back in a moment. Earl Campbell was held to 91 yards unofficially.
That was the ball game. The thing that Oakland had to do, they had to stop Earl Campbell and force Stabler to throw, because one thing that Oakland does very, very well, they put the heat on the passer, and they did that today not only with the defensive line, but I think the defensive backs did an outstanding job for the Oakland Raiders.
Third time these teams have met in the playoffs. The Raiders have won all three contests. The final once again, Oakland 27, Houston 7. This is Charlie Jones and Lynn Dawson.
The Oilers were in the playoffs thanks to Earl Campbell, but it was the Raiders who said thanks when number 34 fumbled on the game's first play from scrimmage. Earl's 373 carries were an all-time NFL high, and he is usually as sure-handed as he is durable, but he didn't start out that way. The Raiders were quick to take advantage of Campbell's rare mistake, as Chris Barr kicked a 47-yard field goal to give Oakland a 3-0 lead. Quarterback Kenny Stabler, number 12, playing before the Oakland fans who had cheered him in his decade as a Raider, tried to recapture his old magic by throwing deep. A heads-up play by Burgess Owens, number 44, briefly curtailed Stabler's wizardry, but not the invocation of higher powers. Stabler regained his touch with a flip to Ronnie Coleman, number 47. The reserve halfback responded with a 23-yard gain to Oakland's 26-yard line. Earl Campbell is to the Oilers' offense what Texas is to America's oil industry. Behind a block by fullback Tim Wilson, number 45, Earl showed why he is 2 legs up on the rest of the league's running backs and head and shoulders beyond NFL defenders. Campbell carried the ball 5 straight times and scored on a 1-yard plunge to put Houston ahead 7-3 as he accumulated 62 yards in the first half. Oakland's Jim Plunkett, number 16, has returned from limbo to lead the Raiders. The Raiders elbowed their way to the 2-yard line thanks to a fine catch by Kenny King, number 33. Oakland obtained King from their favorite trading partners, Houston, in exchange for Jack Tatum. Plunkett then quickly fired to Todd Christensen. For number 46, it was the first reception in a 3-year pro career, and it gave Oakland a 10-7 lead. Never having scored a touchdown before, the reserve tight end was unsure how to dispose of the ball. Like your first love, your first touchdown is hard to part with. Kenny Stabler, combative as always, planned immediate retaliation, but he was not prepared for a tactic Oakland hadn't shown all season: blitzing safeties and cornerbacks. Lester Hayes, number 37, another in Oakland's long line of all-pro defensive backs, led the NFL with 13 interceptions this year, the second highest single-season total in league history. When number 85, Bob Chandler, runs his patterns against Hayes in practice, Chandler rarely gets as open as he did against Houston's number 33, J.C. Wilson. Although out of bounds on this catch, Chandler has performed brilliantly this year.
Obtained from Buffalo after last season, he has caught 49 passes for 10 touchdowns. Chandler's feet have never been fast, but his hands have always been sure. But Chandler wasn't the only one frustrated as Plunkett tried for more. An interception by Houston's Vernon Perry limited Oakland's halftime lead to 10-7 and prevented a potential Raider runaway. To get to the Super Bowl, said Bum Phillips, you must pass through Pittsburgh. Not so in 1980. Instead, the Oilers must pass and run through Oakland. Down 3 points, the Houston offensive line was tiring. Constantly pressured, Ken Stabler squirmed free often enough to locate receivers like Mike Renfro, number 82. Neither team would score in the third quarter, and while Houston dominated the period, Mike Barber and the Oilers stumbled near the goal line. Following another drive, this time to the Oakland 11, Stabler sought out the go-ahead touchdown. Lester Hayes' interception of a Houston deflection prevented the score, and if there was a turning point to the game, this was it. The human energy emitted by Hayes and friends would power them through the game's remaining minutes. By contrast, Houston's offensive energy was sapped. They would not generate another point. The Oiler defense did manage some resistance, sacking Oakland's Jim Plunkett 3 times, this time by Elvin Bethea, number 65. The 9-yard loss was a result of a stunt when Bethea ran around Raider Art Shell, number 78, preoccupied with a Houston linebacker. Like the Raiders of seasons past, Oakland struck suddenly. Not since the retirement of Clarence Davis have the Raiders had a bona fide outside running threat, the likes of number 33, Kenny King. Another trait missing from the Raiders' system in recent years is the big play. That, too, has been revived in Oakland. After one swift motion, 44 yards from Jim Plunkett to Arthur Whittington, number 22, the Raiders were on top, 17-7. The game's momentum had shifted Oakland's way, and Coach Tom Flory's defense made the 10-point lead stand up. First, the Raider front line stopped the heart and soul of the Houston offense, limiting Earl Campbell, number 34, to just 29 second-half yards. Not once all season had the Raiders utilized a cornerback blitz. On this afternoon, it was back in vogue. Lester Hayes circumvented the Houston down lineman to register 2 sacks of his own. Joining in the blitz from another angle, linebacker Ted Hendricks, number 83, made no secret of his intentions, and along with cornerback Mike Davis, smothered Stabler for another one of 7 total Raider sacks, good for 69 yards and losses. Of Hendricks' 12 pro seasons, 1980 may well be his best. Though the Raider blitz no longer surprised, it remained ever effective for the likes of Mike Davis, number 36. Shut out for the final 3 periods of play, the Oilers' chances of winning were slim and none. With this Stabler pass, Slim went home. Lester Hayes' touchdown put the Raiders' victory champagne on ice and pointed out an error in Houston's play selection. Sideline passes from your own 2-yard line are dangerous, especially when going man-to-man with the NFL's leading interceptor. The Oilers had fallen into a silver and black hole and will reappear in the fall of 1981. For the Oakland Raiders, their second season had begun with a 20-point win. For Ken Stabler, it was not a traditional happy homecoming. Post-game greetings from his former Raider teammates could not disguise the fact that Stabler's mission in Houston was unaccomplished. While Oakland travels to Cleveland for round 2 of the playoffs, Houston's Super Bowl dreams disappear.
Browns are making a triumphant return to the playoffs after a 7-year absence. Sipe was the NFL's top-rated quarterback, completing at least 50 passes to 4 different men. Defensively, what Cleveland lacks in consistency, they make up in intimidation. Hitters who force turnovers. Forcing turnovers an Oakland's strong point, the Raiders led the NFL in interceptions. Last week made life miserable for the Oilers. A wild card entry, they continue to be led by Jim Plunkett. He's the arm and Kenny King the offensive legs of a team that's won 10 of its last 12. We'll look at how the Raiders and Browns match up. Plus, we'll have a comical cut on the cardiac kids of Cleveland. A flippant flick about the heart-pounding heroics of a quick quarterback from the West and an upfront emotional coach from Brooklyn. That, plus highlights of yesterday's playoffs and a commentary from Newsweek's Pete Axtell as we prepare for a playoff in the bitter cold of Cleveland. Today on NFL 80. Sports presents NFL 80, an inside look at professional football and a preview of today's playoff game. Good afternoon and welcome to NFL 80. I'm Bryant Gumbel. This is Sunday number 18 of the NFL season, Sunday number 2 of Pete Rozell's second season. We've got a very good playoff game on tap. It matches the AFC Central champion Cleveland Browns going against the Oakland Raiders, and the star may well be the weather. It's evoking memories of the '67 game played in the cold of Green Bay. As pertains to that game, Oakland, the wild card entry, Cleveland, champions of the AFC Central. A lot of stars on both sides, but the central theme in today's game could well be the weather. Let's go out and check on the conditions with Don Brody, Don Crickey, and John Brody.
Thank you, Bryant. The weather is a fearsome presence here in Cleveland. This was the scene yesterday. A tarpaulin covered the playing field. It came off today, but when it did, it was a frozen playing surface. This is no day at the beach in Cleveland. It's going to be tough here. John Brody, in your many years as a quarterback in the National Football League, I know you saw some plenty of tough days. Anything like this?
I don't think the number up on the thermometer is the indicator. I played when it was 0 degrees, but there's a 35-mile-an-hour wind chill factor. I've never been in situations like this. Those players are going to have to change a lot of what they do structurally. Patterns will change. A lot of things will develop.
Well, they came out trying different shoes. They tried a soft-soled shoe they got from Canada. They used that in the Canadian Football League. A lot of them didn't like that. We're going to see how it's going to work out very shortly. Now let's go down to Mike Adamley on the field.
Well, Don and John, Cleveland's cardiac kids seem to be this year's Destiny's children as they've thrilled the fans here with their improbable play. The Raiders, on the other hand, well, it was supposed to be a rebuilding year, yet they're in the playoffs, and they traded quality players for future draft choices. for a matchup of today's game, let's take a look at how the Raiders and Browns match up. Perhaps playing their last game in Alameda County Stadium in what was Bum Phillips' last game as Oiler head coach, the Raiders sacked Kenny Stabler 7 times in a 27-7 wild card win. Al Davis loved what he saw as his Pride and Poise gang shut down the vaunted 2 tight end offense. Quarterback Lester Hayes, number 37, had a day that he can tell his grandchildren about. 2 sacks and 2 interceptions. This one a 20-yard touchdown return which sealed the victory. Quarterback Jim Plunkett completed only 8 passes on the afternoon, but 2 of them were for touchdowns. This 1-yard strike to Todd Christensen, and then this 44-yard salvo to Whippet Arthur Whittington. When all was said and done, the Raiders left the Oilers dejected. Said so long, Houston, and hello, Cleveland.
Well, one of the things we have to do is stop Sipe. He's had a tremendous year. He's completed 60% of his passes, throwing well over 500 passes. They have outstanding receivers, and we just have to do a good job in containing him because he is an elusive quarterback and gets rid of the ball quickly and can scramble. It's a different type quarterback than the one we just faced last Sunday.
We have to do a lot of things to beat the Browns. You know, on offense, they have an excellent passing attack in Brian Sipe, and they have a great core of wide receivers, and they have an excellent defense. I think what the Raiders have to do is go out and play Raider football and out-hit them and be very smart about the game and just play with a lot of intensity.
To stop Brian Sipe, we need to find a 7'1" basketball-type player with the big bombs that he's throwing that I've seen on films. I think that's the only way that we can defend him.
How do I rate the Cleveland offense is the question. It's an excellent offense, a lot of weapons. Sipe is a great passer. He can run well. Mike Pruitt's a powerful back. They've got 4 receivers with over 50 receptions. We got our hands full. And the Cleveland fans are just absolutely the greatest fans in the country. And 80,000 of them packed in that stadium. Forget it. They're going to it's going to be an explosion.
Well, Twos, you got that right. The Cleveland fans have waited 8 years for a playoff caliber team. Now they've got Cypher Bowl fever, and why not? In Brian Sipe, the Brownies have one of the NFL's great overachievers. On the season, 30 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards passing. Not bad for a guy scouts consider too small and too unorthodox to play in the NFL. Brian was at his best when the chips were down. He had a stable of capable wide receivers to go to, like the reliable Reggie Rucker, number 33. Or the angular, number 85, Dave Logan. Or the ageless wonder, number 35, Calvin Hill. On the ground, Greg Pruitt teamed up with 1,000-yard back Mike Pruitt to keep defenses honest, as did 1979 Heisman Trophy winner Charles White. The Browns play spirited defense, and although they gave up a lot of yardage in 1980, Cleveland defenders came up with enough big plays to reach today's playoffs.
I think it's going to be a tough game. I hope it's high scoring on our part and low scoring on their part.
They played an entirely different team than the Cleveland Browns last week. Of course, we don't use the 2 tight end offense, and in order for them to blitz cornerbacks, they've got to bring them practically from the bench, so that's something that shouldn't be a part of this game. We pick up the blitz very well, and I think that I don't have to remind people that when a defense blitzes, they're handicapping themselves. They're putting themselves in a tough spot unless they get to the quarterback. But we've got an awfully good offensive line, and we pick up those blitzes, and there's going to be some people running loose in the secondary.
I describe Oakland's defensive back as like a mugging in Central Park on weekends in New York City, if you know what I mean. They're all over you. I think their assignments are to follow the man anywhere he goes, and that's probably including if he goes into the John, they probably want you to follow him there too. They're very good. In essence, they're very good.
There's an adage that speed kills, and it does. So in order to stop a guy with the speed of Cliff Branch, you got to beat him up. Hopefully we can get to him early enough so that he doesn't catch a big play on us.
Very brutal, intimidating, talkative. Game. Archell, I want you.
I'll tell you, Brian, Alzado's best weapon against Art Shell won't be boxing gloves. It might be ice skates.
Michael, it's an obvious fact the conditions are the same for both sides, but based on their style of play, do the conditions figure to hurt one team more than the other? If so, which team?
Not at all, Brian. I don't think it's going to benefit either team because the field is absolutely abysmal. And as far as the fans go, well, I don't think there's going to be many no-shows here, and that could benefit the Browns because there's going to be about 80,000 plus, and it's been a big help all year long.
Okay, Mike, we'll check in later. Get in out of the corner and bonus picks. How do you introduce a man who had a push yesterday? I never could answer that. So simply, here's Pete Axtell.
Thank you, Bryant. Now that we've had a look at the Cleveland Browns, I want to talk a little about the Oakland Raiders. A lot of people say that Jim Plunkett had a bad day last week, completed 8 passes. I maintain that in Al Davis's conception of football, that's not a bad day. Al has gone back to the days of Darryl LaMonica, the Mad Bomber. He doesn't want a guy to complete 18 out of 21 with the longest one for 12 yards. He wants the constant threat of the deep bomb. And he's got it now with Plunkett. He's got, as he puts it, he doesn't want respect, he wants fear. And he's got fear in the hearts of the opposition. I'd like the Raiders even better today if I knew that Al could get into the Cleveland Stadium and water the field like he does at home. But if he watered it in Cleveland, it wouldn't matter anyway because it would freeze immediately. Nevertheless, I give the Raiders a big shot today. They're one of my 2 bonus picks. I like the Raiders plus 3.5 against the Browns, and I like Atlanta minus 2.5 against Dallas. That brings up the question, what if the Raiders go all the way? And in the locker room, after the Super Bowl, Pete Rozelle has to hand the winning trophy to Al Davis, who has criticized him, made charges against him, and so forth. Well, I think the answer is when Rozelle hands that trophy toward Al, Lester Hayes will intercept it.
Lester Hayes just might. He's coming off a big week. Last week against Houston, Lester Hayes, 2 sacks and 2 interceptions. And how cold is it in Cleveland? Well, you've heard of bands warming up, right? Well, when the band in Cleveland warms up, the band in Cleveland warms up. By jumping up and down, it is bitter cold, and that's what the Raiders and Browns have to face. Big ball game on tap. We'll be back with you at halftime with highlights. But right now, we're getting set for the kickoff. NFL 80 continues. We go down on the field right after these messages from your local station.
The Cleveland Browns got here with a great offense behind quarterback Brian Sipes passing. He threw for 30 touchdowns this year, had one of the great seasons of any quarterback in National Football League history. The Raiders, an interesting contrast. It's been a great defense that's carried them to this AFC divisional playoff game. Last week against Houston, the great Lester Hayes picked off 2, took this one back for a touchdown. Browns got here with offense, the Raiders with defense. And the weather is the 12th man in this game today at Cleveland. Temperature at game time 0. Wind chill this morning 37 degrees below 0. So the weather is a tremendous and awesome presence that is very definitely going to affect play. Good afternoon, everyone, from Cleveland Stadium. I'm Don Crickey with John Brody. John, the Raiders with their defense, the Browns with their offense. But really, when you look back at the outset of the season, it's surprising now how well they did. A lot of people were picking them third in their respective divisions.
Don, I think the reason they're both here is that they both showed that they were contenders, number 1, but that they played well in the latter half of the season. Jim Plunkett, first for Oakland, came on and got them all started. Their defense picked it up after he got the momentum rolling. On the other side of the coin, Brian Sipes had one of the great years that's ever been in the National Football League. Statistics only tell a small part of that. So for both these teams to be here when they were picked to be mediocre and last is an accomplishment in itself.
Interesting attitudes on the 2 teams. They're both very loose clubs. Brian Sipes, the Cleveland quarterback, says everybody talks about him being a loose player under pressure. He said, our whole team is a loose team under pressure. We've got guys, they all want the ball when the game's on the line, and the Raiders are always loose. These Pirates come in here ready to take on anybody, anytime, in any conditions.
Well, they're going to be a little puckered, I'll tell you, when they come out here. I don't care how loose they were in the locker room, which they were. Their style of personality has not changed. The people have changed greatly. I think the team that keeps their composure and does the things under awful conditions that nobody expects them to do will come out on top, and I don't know who that'll be.
Well, this is the coldest playoff game since that famous Dallas-Green Bay game back in '67. It is really something, but a huge crowd is here, and we're just about set to go with the Raiders and the Cleveland Browns.
It is Don Ohlmeyer. Today's show produced by David Stern, directed by Bob Levy and Ken Fouts. Technical directors Sal Nagita, Bruce Berquist. Associate directors Mary Buda, John Filippelli. Associate producer David Neal. Coming up, It's the Oakland Raiders and the Cleveland Browns on NBC.
NBC Sports presents the best of the National Football League, the American Football Conference Divisional Playoff. Today from Cleveland Stadium, it's the Oakland Raiders versus the Cleveland Browns. This 19... This is it, big game day on NBC. The Cleveland Browns and the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders coming in having already won the AFC wild card game. They come in with a record now in this season of 12-5. The Cleveland Browns, champions of the tough AFC Central, 11-5. The Browns, called by their owner Art Modell a team of overachievers under Sam Ratigliano. You very seldom, John, hear any players speak as glowingly about a head coach as do the Cleveland Browns as Sam Ratigliano.
Well, Don, I think he has turned it around so convincingly in such a short period of time. He's the sort of fellow that the bigger the game, the more enthusiastic he is and the more he gets you ready to play it. I don't think he's one of those who concerns himself with worrying about the outcome so much as preparing his group for the game itself. And I'd say on the other side of the coin, Tom Flores does the same thing, and the personality of the two teams is such, I think it's a good indication of why they're here.
Well, Flores has done a great job, too. You don't hear enough about Tom Flores in his second year as the head coach of the Raiders, but in all those great seasons, the Oakland Raiders have had 16 consecutive winning seasons. No team in the National Football League has done that in the history of the league. Flores has been the offensive coordinator. He's planned all the game plans over the years, the recent years, and now he's the head man. The Raiders are ready, you can be sure, and so are the Browns. Wind chill, minus 30-some-odd degrees, 37 at the outset. The up back takes the kickoff. Doesn't get too far with it. Todd Christensen got the ball. Got across the 30-yard line to pick 9 for an average of over 51 yards. Kicked that one 44. Brian Sipe, the number 1 quarterback this season in the NFL at quarterback. Mike Pruitt, a big back from Purdue, and Calvin Hill, the veteran, will be the starting runners for the Browns. Dave Logan, Reggie Rucker, and Ozzie Newsome, all with over 50 receptions, the receivers. Good offensive line. They don't let Sipe get hurt very often. Deacon, Shepard, DeLeo, and DeLamielleure. And Cody Ryan. So the Browns come out pitching. As you were pointing out, John, they got here throwing the ball, and Sipe's ready to go despite the weather.
I don't think there's going to be any change of the way they attack, whether or not they throw the ball a lot. They will throw the ball an awful lot because Oakland would love to have a team running the ball on 1st and 10 because guys like Matusik, Kinlaw, you name it, those down linemen have been very strong against the run all year. They've shut teams down to 40 yards a game less than they did last year.
There's the defensive secondary. The Raiders have intercepted more than any team in the NFL. They have 35 interceptions as a team.
When you have a guy like Brian Sipe, to have a halfback like Calvin Hill is something you just can't replace. When you catch 50 balls as a halfback, you know you've helped some.
Calvin Hill has been a great one. 6 touchdown receptions this year for the Browns. They call him the pinch hitter. He comes in and hits the home run for them, making those receptions. 3rd down and 10. Sipe's only completed 1 of 6. Look at the interception by the great Lester Hayes. The man's a phenomenal football player. Lester Hayes with his 16th interception of this season. He had 2 last week and 13 in the regular season, and he had 4 other ones that were negated by penalties.
Don, when you see Lester Hayes, he's playing bump and run. Now, if you're a quarterback, you say, hey, he's playing bump and run all over the field. I've got to be able to get to Reggie Rucker. He's got him one-on-one all over the field. He might even fall down. Lester Hayes intimidates people. It's why he's gained 13 interceptions this year, is because teams are reluctant to let him get away with that. However, he's winning at his own game, having the greatest year of any cornerback for several years. He and Hendricks have been so outstanding, the Raiders have just gone with him.
Well, they challenged Lester Hayes, and they came up empty, and now the Raiders have the ball back. The ball again, this time starting out at their 30. That was only a 31-yard punt by Ray Guy.
He got a bad bounce, though. It could have gone right down inside the 10. Nobody was there to field it.
Actually hopped back toward the Raiders. Sipe on 1st down, looking long. Man is out there. Reggie Rucker had his fingertips on the ball. So we've had a lot of near misses in the game as both quarterbacks challenging deep, despite playing conditions with temperatures minus 30 chill factor.
And who were they challenging? They're challenging Lester Hayes. He just comes up with an interception. The next time they get the ball, they say, let's have one more go at Lester. If he wants to get his 15th of the year, let him try. We think we can beat him. And a lot of receivers do beat Lester Hayes. It's just that he beats them on occasion, too.
Actually, Lester, John, his next one's going to be his 17th now after what he's done in the playoffs. He has 3 already in the playoffs. To go with his 13 in the regular season. What a year.
About 6 drops and 4 called back, too.
Actually had a 95-yard interception return for a touchdown against Miami, negated by a penalty. He's really had his problems. Barr hit it, sidewinder, no problem on the extra point. 7-6, Oakland leads. 6 seconds left in the half. As Sipe throws long. Logan's going for the ball. Lester Hayes intercepted another one. The man is absolutely phenomenal. 17 interceptions he has this season. 4 in the playoffs. Lester Hayes of Texas A&M.
He's playing the only way he should play at this time. He was playing 25 yards deep. They figure if we're going to have a go at it, let's try him again. See if he can come down with this one.
Well, I know what I'd do with him, John. I'd put him on offense, too. Lester would be going both ways for me today because he can catch it better than anybody out there.
He does pretty well just going the way he does. Here goes Logan down the field. You know he's not going to get behind Hayes. A lot of fellas be content just to bat it down, not Lester. Put another skin on the wall.
So the Raiders rally back and take the lead. That's the end of the first half. With the score, the Oakland Raiders 7, the Cleveland Browns 6.
Very close by the spot. No, that's correct.
All right, they start up in Cleveland.
I wouldn't feel too good if I was an Oakland Raider right now.
They are ready for another Cleveland Brown finish. Fasten all seatbelts. Palpitations. Fasten all seatbelts. Here we go. Down the stretch. The Cleveland Browns with 2:20 to play. Brian Sipe takes a look. Throws it downfield. Incomplete. Came in on the one hop. It'll be 2nd down and 10. He was going to Reggie Rucker. And the game clock is down to 2:17.
We've mentioned what a difficult job both cornerbacks have had all day long. Dwayne Osteen and Lester Hayes. They've been put in one-on-one situations all day. Go along with Mike Davis. Now they're in a 5-back defense, but these fellas have had to play those wide receivers for Cleveland man-to-man all day long. Sipes had plenty of time to throw. Whatever way it goes, it's been a heck of a performance on their part.
A throw down the field. The ball is caught by Ozzie Newsome, and he almost broke it. Ozzie Newsome gets out to the 44-yard line, and on 2nd and 10, the Cleveland Browns get the big gainer, and the clock winds down to 2 minutes.
Don, anybody can fall down in conditions like this, but watch Sipe hang in there. You talk about great quarterbacks. He got absolutely level, but still had an ability to get the ball off down the field to Ozzie Newsome. We mentioned one-on-one coverage. Otis McKinney falls down, but watch this play. To get a hold of Ozzie Newsome, he saved the touchdown. That would have put Cleveland on top. Instead, they've got good field position, but they're 2 points down.
30 below zero in Cleveland, Ohio, but the heat's on now. 2 minutes left to play, and the Cleveland Browns on a 29-yard pass play have the ball out to the 43-yard line. John, what about the strategy of Oakland?
Okay, you can say, why didn't they go for the field goal? They were not automatic. They've made about less than 40% of those tries. They know if they can keep the ball, they can then run out the clock. If not, they have to kick off. Field position would have been good, and Cleveland still has to score. They had to move it just as far to kick a field goal as they would have had to make a touchdown.
Sipe lets it go long and overthrows Greg Pruitt.
You know, so often, Don, you get into strategy situations and you don't take the field conditions into effect. It would have been a very safe choice for Flores to say, okay, kick the field goal, and then we're taking the safe way out. We can grab ourselves a 5-point lead, which wasn't automatic. But if we can make 1 inch, we can gain control of the ball, run the clock down, and then we'll put the icing on the cake. I'd say it would have been easier to pick up an inch than kick a field goal in that situation, so I've got to agree with it no matter which way it comes out.
1:54 left to play. 1:54 left to go. The Cleveland Browns come out. 2nd down and 10 at their 43. And they trail 14-12. Sipe hemmed in, grabbed by Big Bear John Matuzak. They blew it dead at the 45, so it's going to be third down and about 9 now.
I would expect them to call a timeout. They've got 3 remaining. That's 2 of them.
They do. 1:48 left to play, and the Cleveland Browns signal for and are allotted a timeout.
You know, Don, so many times the team will ask, and I've mentioned that Oakland has been playing bump and run, man-to-man defense all afternoon. It's the personality of Oakland to do that. Lester Hayes is one of the few fellas that can nullify a receiver in a bump and run and still be quick enough to catch up with the ball after it's thrown. And for them to go in a zone at this point would be totally against their personality and make it very tough. They're still keeping a free safety back there. They figure that's the way to operate.
They didn't take a timeout. 1:24 left to go. Third down and 10. Sipe throws. Incomplete. Oh, there's a penalty marker down. And it'll be a first down for the Cleveland Browns at the 44-yard line. Reggie Rucker was interfered with.
You can see the 2 officials saw the play simultaneously. One of them thought it was a penalty. One of them didn't. The flag was thrown. He had a perfect angle on the play. Looked to me as if Osteen got away with a little something. Those fellas are watching close.
Game clock, as you see, down to 1:19 left to play. The season ends for either the Cleveland Browns or the Oakland Raiders.
Illegal contact, number 35. That's 5 yards and a first down.
Dwayne Osteen bumped and ran a little bit farther downfield than you're allowed to.
What he did is he waited on him, Don. He waited on him down about the 10, 12-yard line, was going to jam his route and made contact. And that was the call. It was not interference. Contact down there at 10 yards.
But the Browns would have come up with 4th and 10 had that penalty not come down. Now they have it 1st and 10 at their 49-yard line. 1:19 to go. 14-12 Oakland.
Monty Jackson in the ballgame for the first time.
Sipe stands in, throws. Greg Pruitt caught the ball inside the 30. Greg Pruitt, who's had an injury-troubled year, the great back from Oklahoma, goes down the field and goes up in the air and comes down with the ball at the 28.
They're picking the vulnerable area. They've got Osteen in the middle of the field playing man-to-man on a back. Sipe is not going to let that go untried. Osteen's had a lot of success. He's lost a few throughout the afternoon. But you can see he and Mike Davis are having all the trouble they can have inside, underneath. They're going to try to go to Ozzie Newsome or their back.
Greg Pruitt's caught 5 balls today for 37 yards. That was the biggest one, as the Browns now have the ball at the 28-yard line with 1:12 left to go. Cleveland trailing by 2. Sipe looks at a blitz, lofts the ball up. Ozzie Newsome catches the ball, but he's ruled out of bounds at the 20-yard line. And the game clock is down to 1:06 to play. It's something.
It is. It's almost expected. When you see the Browns with the ball at home with 2 minutes to play, this game is just getting underway. 2 points down. Field goal is not a certainty if you get it within the 10-yard line. You can recall they missed an extra point. They've missed 2 field goals from close range going the exact same way they're going now. If they have a chance, they're going to try to get it in the end zone.
2nd down and 10 coming up for the Cleveland Browns. Rucker and Dave Logan deployed wide to the right. Newsome is split out to the left at the top of your screen on 2nd down and 10. A draw play to Mike Pruitt. He's inside the 20-yard line. He's down inside the 15-yard line. He's down to the 9-yard line, the 14-yard line. And he has a first down for Cleveland. Big call and a big result.
They call timeout. They've still got 2 left, though. 56 seconds left to play. What do? You run the ball in the line and think Cockriff can go down the field, kick it from 30 yards. They've got 2 timeouts left, but really, Don, in my opinion, they better try and score it. Sipe will throw it in the cheap seats if anybody's covered, but I think it's easier to complete a pass than it would be to convert a field goal.
Short field goal attempts are no good deal today in this cold. Don Cockcroft, 2 of 4 today.
If you're an offensive quarterback, I will not try Lester Hayes, though.
They've done that a couple times and come up empty, and Lester's come up with the ball twice on interceptions. Don Cockcroft, a 13-year veteran. Most of these Browns have never been to the playoffs, but Don Cockcroft has been there 6 times with the Cleveland Browns.
You can tell the veterans. He's sitting on the bench. Let him be up warming up into the net.
Cleveland with 2 timeouts left. Oakland with 1. Our thanks to our spotters, John Betchko and Pete Halbin, and NBC statistician Steve Dan, who's with us today. President of NBC Sports, Arthur Watson, is here. So are over 77,000, less than 2,000 no-shows.
That's support. It's great. It's been a great football game, no matter how it turns out, Don, under the most inclement conditions I've ever seen.
There's been a lot of great plays in very, very adverse conditions. That's true. Now it's 1st and 10 for Cleveland. Back to the run. This time Oakland's looking for it. Brian Sipe signals for and gets a timeout with 49 seconds to play. Mike Pruitt carried the ball.
I think the last time they called timeout, they came over disgusted, said, let's see if we can break a draw on 1st down. He's going over to the sideline, in my opinion, to try and get that ball thrown upstairs.
That end of the field has had sunshine on it most of the day. There's a little less frost on it than the other end, the closed end, but there's a lot of ice down there.
Yeah, we've seen 1 ball mishandled for an for a fake field goal. We've seen 2 balls missed on field goals. We've seen an extra point hit the uprights, and I haven't seen anything go through down there.
49 seconds left to play in the game. The Browns, Brian Sipe, Sam Ratigliano. What a combination they've been. Sipe was on the bench when Ratigliano came here. Ratigliano waiting a long time to get his head shot. Peter Hadhazy, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, told Art Modell when he was interviewing for coaches, he said, save yourself a lot of time interviewing. Talk to Ratigliano first. I think he's your guy.
Yep. All right. They've got Cleo Miller in the ball game for the first time in quite a while. He's an excellent blocker, and that's why they've got him, so I don't expect him to throw the ball. I'm sure the discussion took place. Sam's elected to get as much as he can on the ground, I believe.
Right up the middle. 49 seconds to go.
Wrong.
Into the end zone. Was it intercepted?
I think Oakland got it.
Oakland intercepted the ball.
Michael Davis is the man that picked it off. That's just a great play at a very critical time. It even looked like Newsom might have come up with it. The Raiders didn't believe it for about 5 or 10 seconds. It was a one-handed stab. He was one-on-one with Ozzie Newsom. How he came up with that ball is a miracle.
41 seconds left and the Raiders intercept. And they might have iced this one, no pun intended.
Newsom, look, he thinks the ball's going to get to him. Okay, here's Davis. All day long, he's been one-on-one with a free safety, but so what? You're not going to get that much help because he can't get started. Newsom's trying to run his pattern. Davis cuts in front of him, picks the ball off. That's just a fantastic interception.
It really was. Mike Davis intercepts. Lester Hayes had 2 earlier. And 41 seconds are now separating the Oakland Raiders from the AFC Championship game next Sunday at San Diego. 37 seconds left, 36. Browns call a timeout. 36 seconds left to play. NFL report is next. We'll be talking to some of those Oakland Raiders. If they prevail in this game, and right now the odds are greatly in their favor after the brilliant interception in the end zone by Mike Davis, strong safety in his 3rd year out of Colorado.
I'll say they're in their favor. All the quarterback has to do right now is fall down on one knee. The Browns have 2 timeouts left. That is not enough to stop the clock from running off 36 seconds. And I'm sure that Sam Ratigliano is going to be in a position of catching a lot of flack because he didn't go for the safe decision, which would have been to try and put Cockcroft on the spot to kick a field goal. But in retrospect, I have to agree with him. Brian Sipe, I think, had as good a chance to throw a touchdown pass as he did for Cockcroft to kick a field goal. Now, that's up for anybody's conjecture, and it's easy to have 20/20 vision after the fact. But in fact, if he had his decision to do it over again, considering the outcome, obviously he'd have a go at the field goal, but he doesn't. That's what put head coaches on the spot. He's been right an awful lot of the time. This time it didn't work out that way.
Well, the Browns are here because of Brian Sipe and the year he's had. But now the Oakland Raiders coming up, as the Oakland Raiders have done so many times over the years. In the big games, they're so tough to beat. The winningest consecutive years franchise in the history of the league. 16 straight winning seasons at Oakland. And now the wild card Raiders, as the clock winds down inside 20 seconds, are ready to head to San Diego in the AFC Championship game against their arch rivals from the AFC West, the San Diego Chargers. And you'll see that next Sunday, beginning at 4:30 here on NBC. What a victory for the Oakland Raiders, coming from behind twice in this game. And they win it as the clock goes down and out.
And let me make one comment, Don. The Cleveland Browns were knocked out of the playoffs the same way they got there. In the last couple minutes, Brian Sipe brought them back, got points on the board, brought them into victory time and time and time again. Today, he died by it.
We'll be back at Cleveland Stadium with the Oakland Raiders, the 14-12 victor, right after this. Raiders, coming from behind twice in the game, have defeated the Cleveland Browns 14-12 in this divisional playoff game. And so now the Raiders become, I believe, the first wild card team to advance to the conference championship game.
The Raiders met the Browns in Cleveland last Sunday with a temperature a knee-knocking 1 degree above zero. With a wind chill factor of 37 below, it was the coldest postseason game in 13 years. But Oakland shirt sleeve Dave Dalby matched his California cool against the elements. Cleveland coach Sam Ratigliano discussed field conditions with a noted meteorologist and football forecaster. Browns quarterback Brian Sipe, number 17, longed for a dry ball and unfettered fingers to catch it. Sipe was also hampered by the Mad Stork, Ted Hendricks, number 83, Oakland's 5-time All-Pro linebacker, who is enjoying his finest season. Allowed to freelance by the Oakland coaching staff, Hendricks roamed the field, discarding blockers and disrupting both the pass and the run. The Browns defense made some big plays of its own as Clarence Scott dropped Jim Plunkett on a safety blitz. But the Browns' biggest play of the day was made by cornerback Ron Bolton, number 28. His 42-yard return of a second-quarter Plunkett pass for the game's first score warmed the cockles of the hearts of the frozen faithful. The fans were grateful not only for the touchdown, but also for the chance to move around. The extra point was blocked, but the Browns led 6-0. Jim Plunkett retaliated immediately, hitting Raymond Chester to set up a touchdown that gave Oakland a 7-6 lead. With the Browns' defense denying the perimeter of the field to the Raiders' dangerous receivers, Plunkett found the middle vulnerable. Tight end Chester's 27-yard reception set up Oakland's second touchdown, scored by the man who plowed in for both Raider touchdowns, Mark Van Eegen, number 30. Van Eegen may be the most unpublicized back in the NFL, but he has averaged over 1,000 yards for the 4 seasons prior to this one. With Cleveland having added 2 Don Cockraw field goals, the score now stood 14-12, Oakland. The Raiders' brilliant defense meant to keep it that way. Lester Hayes made his 17th interception of the season, the all-time NFL high for 1 year. Oakland was unable to hold its breath as Cleveland mounted a late charge. The Cardiac Kids once again sent pulses skipping. Greg Pruitt caught Brian Sipe's pass with less than a minute left in the game to spur hopes of yet another miracle. With 2nd and 9 on Oakland's 13-yard line, Retigliano and Sipe decided to go for the touchdown, since the brutal weather had already nullified 3 field goal attempts. Cleveland may be a conservative city, but its coach is a gambler.
Red slot right. The red slot right, left back stay 88. Let's go.
Brian Sipe had pulled countless games out of the fire, but Mike Davis iced this 14-12 win for the Raiders. There was no joy in Mudville, for Mighty Casey had struck out. Another look at the game-saving play shows Sipe had sure footing and good protection. He simply threw a bad pass, something he hasn't done often in amassing over 4,000 yards this year. Sipe joined Joe Namath and Dan Fouts as the only men to reach the 4,000-yard mark. Cleveland has become synonymous with last-second victories, but Oakland has been winning heart-stoppers since the Cardiac Kids were in grade school. The Raiders, only 9-7 last year, can graduate to their 3rd Super Bowl with a victory over the San Diego Chargers this week in the more agreeable climate of Southern California. It did not take long to realize that this was not to be a typical San Diego Sunday. When fans are this frenzied and players this resolute, it can mean but one thing. This is a championship game. Charger quarterback Dan Fouts fired for over 4,700 yards this season, and Louis Kelcher and his fellow Bruise brothers led the league with 60 sacks. Their opponent in this AFC title game, the surprising Oakland Raiders, led by the resurrected Jim Plunkett. After a decade of service, this game will be by far Plunkett's most important since he left Stanford 10 years ago. Another reason for Oakland's presence in this championship has been the play of the Raider defense, led by miracle man Lester Hayes, who paced the NFL with 13 interceptions. Hayes and his fellow Raider defenders will have their work cut out for them if they hope to stop John Jefferson and Don Coryell's devastating air attack. From sunny San Diego, it's the Oakland Raiders versus the San Diego Chargers in the AFC Championship game. The winner earns an invitation to Super Bowl 15 in New Orleans. The loser joins the 90 million who will watch on television. It's do or die in the AFC on the NFL Game of the Week.
The national champions are the Philadelphia Eagles, and now for the American Conference, the Oakland Raiders and San Diego Chargers. 2 teams who battle to a virtual tie in the AFC West, 11-5. They each beat each other on their home field, and the Chargers are introduced now. San Diego's Jack Murphy Stadium, named after the recently deceased sports writer who brought Major League Sports to this city. 52,000 partisan fans decorated in their blue and gold, and an intense rivalry. 43rd time these 2 teams have met, and yet they have never played each other in a championship game. Pride and poise of Oakland against Charger power. Will it be San Diego or Oakland that goes to New Orleans? Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Enberg, and welcome to the 3rd meeting between these 2 teams. Oakland and San Diego battled in big offensive shows during the regular season. The loser in both those games scored 24 points. We expect much the same today. We'll be talking more about the offense with former quarterbacks Len Dawson and John Brody later. But when you get to championship play, usually the emphasis is on defense, and the teams that win play great defensive ball. We have our expert, too, Merlin Olsen. You played on that side of the line of scrimmage. How about these 2 clubs on defense?
Well, Dick, no question that the Oakland Raiders are here because of the great play on defense, especially the second half of the year. Their big concern in this game, coping with a complicated San Diego offense and Dan Fouts. They have to make him uncomfortable, put the pressure on him in that pocket if they're going to be successful today.
Well, they got a couple of men with H's on their back, Hayes and Hendricks, that'll make him uncomfortable. For San Diego to stop Oakland, what do you see defensively there?
You've got to treat Oakland a little bit differently. They have a fine running game, better balanced offensively. I think shut them off on the running game and not allow Plunkett to have that extra time that he needs for the deep pass patterns which he favors.
So that's a look at the defense. For the offense, let's go to two men with 36 years combined of pro football experience, Len Dawson and John Brody.
Thank you, Dick. Lenny, Merlin thinks the defense wins championships. How do you react to that?
You know that I do not believe that. I guess with the exception of Oakland, but you know what I know, that offenses get you in there.
The rule changes have had an effect, and I think that San Diego today is going to try to get Oakland in defensive situations that they do not enjoy. Man-to-man coverage with great receivers in uncomfortable positions. It will be tough for Dan Fouts because Oakland knows the intention of him, and so as we go along throughout the day, we'll be able to keep you up with whether he's successful or whether he isn't.
You know, on the other side, Jim Plunkett has had a fantastic year. He is 11-2 in the games that he has started. I think this afternoon he's going to have exercise patience because for Oakland, they take the ball away more than anybody in the NFL. For San Diego, they give it away more than anybody else. That's a story from the field. Now back up to Dick.
Thank you, gentlemen. And now we prepare for the coin toss. You know, often Merlin Olsen in times like this, as a defensive player, didn't you hope that you were on the field first where you might force that turnover? I had a feeling today that Philadelphia enjoyed being on defense initially against Dallas.
Dick, I think you'd like to put your strength on the field first. I think a team like Oakland wants their defense up. A team like San Diego would like to have their offense up.
Cal Lepore is the referee, and now the toss of the coin.
And the tail is pale. Visiting teams, Oakland will make the call. Call wise in the air. What do you call? Heads. Calls heads. It is heads. Oakland wins the toss. Like to receive. When you send the goal, turn around, please. Oakland wins the toss. Likes to receive. That's it. Good luck, man. Have a good one.
Cal Lepore and his crew, Art Demis, Leo Miles, Bill Reynolds, Pat Knight, Grover Clemmer, Dick Dollick, Red Cashin, Al Jury. An honor for these gentlemen to be working the American Conference Championship game. Tom Flores, 43 years of age, University of Pacific graduate. He's been a Raider most of his football life. Don Coryell. He was in the playoffs with the St. Louis Cardinals 3 times, lost first-round games. Lost last year with San Diego in the first round, but here he is playing on his home field for the championship today. Rolf Benerschke, much publicized athlete, lucky to be in those football cleats today after a near-fatal battle with an intestinal disease last year. And he'll kick it off to the black and silver of Oakland.
Dick, in a game like this, emotion pumping, both sides of the line of scrimmage, you'd like to get in and get your feet wet a little bit. I don't think we're going to see either team explode. I think they've got to be a little tight right here at the beginning of the game. They need to get a hit or two to kind of settle down.
Arthur Whittington, number 22, and Keith Moody, number 26, will return for Oakland. You'll see Benerschke, as he kicks the ball, head immediately to the sidelines to protect himself against the surgery that followed that intestinal disease. Ready to go, and they're on their feet in San Diego. Keith Moody, the ex-Buffalo Bill, at the 9. And he's down at the 29-yard line. Hal Stringert, number 45. Otis McKinney, number 23, the tackler. The San Diego offense, NFL record-setting offense, led by quarterback Dan Fouts. Back-to-back 4,000 yards passing. Chuck Muncie from New Orleans, Mike Thomas, the ex-Redskin with him. 3 Pro Bowl receivers, Joyner, Jefferson, and Winslow, all over 1,000 yards. Shields, Doug Wilkerson, Pro Bowler, Masick, White, and Dan Audick for Russ Washington, who was injured against Oakland at midseason. From the 17-yard line, Routes to throw. And he's going long for Smith. All the way to the 29-yard line. Yards to the man who caught the winning touchdown against Buffalo last week.
Dan Fouts is not wasting any time. He's going for it right off the bat. A perfect toss. Interesting that, again, he got isolation one-on-one. Fouts will pick on you. You can't put that kind of speed one-on-one. Give him time to throw the football. He'll eat you alive.
Incomplete, and it'll be 3rd and long. The defense for the Oakland Raiders, and as Merlin told you, a vastly improved unit from midseason on. The twos, Matuzak, the speed in Kinlaw, and Dave Browning light for a defensive lineman, but very quick. Ted Hendricks has had a banner year with the rookie Matt Millen out of Penn State, Bob Nelson back from an injury, and Rod Martin. And then there is a story in itself in Lester Hayes. A great year for him, the interception leader in the NFL. Osteen, the young corner, with Owens, the former Jet, and Mike Davis, the hero last week in Cleveland at safety. Jefferson, first down at the 14. Jefferson, 17 yards and a San Diego first down.
Jefferson working one-on-one on Lester Hayes. Gets across inside, and Burgess Owens, number 44, has to come up in that safety position to shut it off.
Jefferson, the yardage leader in the NFL this year. First down inside the 15. A lot of time, and he throws it away. Jefferson came back to meet the ball, but at that point, Fouts had to unload.
Dick, we talked about how well this Oakland team has played defensively during the second half of the year. It's absolutely amazing. It's like drawing a line in their season. First 7 games of the year, they were having problems. There you see the point totals. First 7 games, they gave up a lot of points, an average of 25 per game. The last 9 games, 14.2. That's tremendous defense.
2nd and 10.
Charger fans rarely panic, for they know that Air Coryell is a great way to fly. The Chargers don't take the bus. They fly the SST and advance quickly through the air. On the first play from scrimmage, Fouts did just that. To be sure, the element of surprise made the 55-yard gain possible. But so did a nifty play fake to Chuck Muncie, number 46, that froze the Raider defense, allowing Ron Smith to free himself down the sideline. Smith's reception gave San Diego a first down at the Raider 28. Passing got them there, so Fouts threw once more. Clutch catches over the middle made John Jefferson an All-Pro this season. But another All-Pro, Lester Hayes, would make a statement to the Chargers. That statement, if you live by the pass, you can die by it as well. Amazingly, Hayes' interception was his 5th in the last 5 games. The Chargers were halted, but the Raiders failed to capitalize, so Dan Fouts continued.
Defensive backs for the Raiders. Otis McKinney in the lineup. Winslow is split left. Jefferson and Joyner to the right. Intercepted, and you know who. All the way to the 25-yard line goes Lester Hayes. What an amazing year for the young cornerback from Texas A&M.
Lester Hayes able to anticipate, able to get a great jump on that ball. The receiver had fallen down on the play, and just put himself beautifully in line for that one.
And look at those numbers for 1 year. Now 5 interceptions in the playoffs, 22 turnovers for Hayes alone.
Out of bounds. Ball's been on the ground a lot today, San Diego.
6:05 left in the half. Joyner left, Jefferson right, Winslow in motion. Well covered. And Lester Hayes had his eyes on another interception. He had blanketed Jefferson. And what a remarkable athlete to have to draw the assignment man for man against John Jefferson.
I talked to Lester Hayes yesterday about how he was going to play Johnson, or how he was going to play Jefferson. He said, I want to pin his left arm. I want to pin his left arm, stay right tight on him so he can't get that left arm up to control the football. He's playing it there beautifully, although he is playing the ball with the quarterback there, mask of the helmet, but he had a hold of his shoulder pads, pulled him right over backwards. That had to hurt.
2nd and goal. San Diego at the 4-yard line of Oakland. They trail the Raiders 28-7. Less than 2 minutes remain first half. Fouts to Thomas. And they've got him for a loss. You think that on top of everything else, Lester Hayes isn't strong. Picked him up like he was a 10-pound bag of sugar.
By number 37, Lester Hayes.
One of the things that makes Lester Hayes unique is the package that he has of great speed and strength. A very unusual athlete. Watch him just pick Thomas up here. I'm going to take you home with me. He got him up off the ground.
Ball at the 8-yard line.
In football that still are in a basic man-to-man setup, and they'll challenge you. Interesting, the black and silver, they like to be different. One of the ways they are different is their ability to go man-on-man with good receivers.
Burgess Owens is at the 5-yard line as they look for that long pass, and here it comes. Up for grabs. Incomplete. And that is the end of the first half in San Diego. Well, we expected plenty of offense, and that's what the first 30 minutes have provided. Turnovers by San Diego, and the opportunistic Raiders taking advantage. And at the intermission, the score, Oakland 28, San Diego 14. You've been following Fouts and the Chargers. Your thoughts?
Well, the simple thing is, Dick, that time Rod Martin made a wonderful play almost at the line of scrimmage, but he's got to cover about 12 yards around the middle of that line. They're playing it with just Hendricks and Martin, and if they can't run up inside, throwing the ball is going to be very tough. They've been fortunate a few times, but it's going to get tougher and tougher down in close.
Yeah, let's see if Fouts stays on the ground. First down at the 18. Going deep. That was Jefferson and Hayes matched up. 2 All-Pros. Jefferson nodding his head to Hayes as if to say, that was a legal bump. We were both going for the ball. Hayes with an interception in the first half, his 5th in the 3 playoff games. You don't want to shake hands with Lester until he's had a very good shower.
Watch the interaction between these two great players. Lester Hayes looking back, trying to find that football. Jefferson had 13 touchdown catches during the season, 3 of them against Lester Hayes, and there weren't many thrown on that man during the season.
And Hayes with 13 interceptions. Ron Smith at the 8-yard line. That's going to be close to a first down. That's going to require a measurement.
Dan Fouts again scanning the field. He finds the open man and drills the ball to him. Dwayne Osteen, 35, number 44, Burgess Owens. A little bit of space between them. Fouts takes advantage of it. They're going to measure for the first.
And it's first and goal. Fouts to Smith, who had a little trouble controlling it, but able to latch onto it. This is the drive from the kickoff to open this second half. San Diego's marched steadily downfield to first and goal at the 8. the time. Hit the crossbar. Jefferson and Joyner crossing in the end zone. Lester Hayes is right there covering again.
Looked like there was room to run up the middle, but Dan Fouts is not a running quarterback. Ted Hendricks, number 83, played a very crucial role in this game as rusher, as defender. He's dropping back here in defense, looking for Jefferson coming across. Slipped a little bit, but there were just too many black shirts. The difficulty of throwing down there is you compress the amount of room the offense has to work in.
2nd and goal at the 8. Look at the time. Oh, my! Jefferson will rarely drop that one. Jefferson hiding on the back line of the end zone and lost it through his fingertips.
Fouts with all kinds of time to throw, but the philosophy obviously for Oakland, they're going to cover everyone, get everybody back defensively, and they're going to let Fouts throw the football. Watch here. Jefferson is alone. The ball zipped to him. A little too much fire on that one. He could not handle it. Try to dance, try to twist around and get it before his toes came out of the end zone, but couldn't do it.
Great coverage by our NBC crew. Larry Cirillo, our producer. Ted Nathanson, our director. 3rd and goal. Again through the hands of Jefferson, who thought that Osteen had interfered. So 2 near misses for San Diego, and Fouts under pressure now will watch the field goal unit come in.
Jefferson running a little pattern, just has trouble getting off the line this timing, and then cuts across the heels of Osteen. He makes those catches more often than he drops them.
Indeed. Both of the last 2 chances, Jefferson, that's easy picking for him. Rolf Bernierska from the 16-yard line, a 26-yard attempt. And San Diego settles for 3. So the Chargers, with a solid drive downfield, get 3, and it's now 28-17. Gets 3, but Jefferson thought he should have had 6, John Brody.
Dick, I think the amazing thing is that John Jefferson, the man that got him into this playoff title ball game, has dropped 4 balls that could have led to scores. 1 early in the 2nd quarter, 1 toward the end of the half, and 2 in the end zone on this particular drive. He's the man that's won ball games for him. I think the encouraging part is Fouts is not going to go away from him. They'll be back down.
You can count on that. It'll be about 3rd down and 4. The Chargers need the football. A reminder, 2 weeks from today, it'll be the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl against the winner of today's game. We invite you to tune in early Eastern time, 1 o'clock for the NFL Year in Review, a spectacular show featuring the highlights of this great season. And there'll be some basketball for you as well as the Buckeyes host Virginia's Cavaliers. I think that game's at Virginia. You'll see Big Ralph Sampson of the Cavaliers. And then the pregame at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock in the West, Super Bowl 15. And it'll be the Eagles. And right now, that team in the black and silver playing in its 10th championship game in 14 years.
Dick, I can't help but remember an incident in the game we did here, the Charger-Oakland game. A critical 4th down situation. Oakland down by 7 points late in the game. Pastorini went down, and Plunkett had to come off the sideline. It was one of the first chances he'd had to play in that year. Came in and threw, under all that pressure, threw a touchdown pass to Raymond Chester. I've got to feel that maybe that was the beginning of his comeback and his great story, his Cinderella story during this season.
It's been a Cinderella story for the Raiders, certainly in what was regarded start of the year the toughest division of the NFL, the AFC West. No one really thought it'd be the Oakland Raiders here. Now it's 3rd and 5. San Diego must stop the Raiders, or Oakland will run out the clock. 1:52 left. Plunkett's going to run it for a 1st down. He got the 1st down and fell at the 24. And now the Chargers can call time for only the last time.
And I think that might write the end of the Chargers story. A wonderful story it has been during this past season. But the colors in the Super Bowl are going to be silver and black.
They have not called time. 1:23, 1:22 left. The season that began shortly after the 4th of July, the hard work of summer, the 4 preseason games, the highs and lows of a 16-game season, and the wild card Oakland Raiders, although they did indeed tie 11-5 with a record with San Diego. And now it's just chew up the clock, 102-101, and there now is the final timeout exercised by the San Diego Chargers with 1:01 left in the game. And now, unless the Raiders make a horrendous error, Oakland can make its plans for New Orleans. 1:01 left. Second down play from the 21 of San Diego. The Raiders already starting to congratulate each other along the far sidelines. Plunkett needs only to take the snap and fall on it. That's what he'll do. And the clock will start to run. And as it does in this final minute, our thanks to an exceptional NBC crew. I just can't recall, Merlin, a better job done. Every great play was seen from an angle, 2 angles, 3 replays. The executive producer of NBC's NFL Football is Don Olmeyer. Coordinating producer Ted Nathanson. Telecast of this 1981 AFC Championship has been produced by Larry Cirillo, directed by Ted Nathanson. Replay producer George Finkel. Our replay director was Ken Fouts. NFL 80 was produced by David Stern, directed by Bob Levy. Wait for the visuals to catch up here. Our technical directors are Ray Pagelski and Sal Nagita. Associate producers Mike Hadley, Peter Rolfe, and David Neal. Associate directors Richard Klein, Mary Buda, John Filippelli. Thanks to our spotters Bill Edwards, Dan Sexton. Also Bob Sexton and Dennis Mnuchin, Joe Costanzas, our statistician. Down to the final seconds. 5-4. The Oakland Raiders and the Philadelphia Eagles go to Super Bowl 15. Plunkett can certainly appreciate whatever words Dan Fouts offered him. If anyone knows what it's like to be down, up, and then down at the bottom of the pile and then recover, it's Jim Plunkett of Oakland.
Interesting how the 2 seasons of the Chargers and Plunkett have coincided. As we said, that first appearance for that 1 pass, his first start of the season against the San Diego Chargers, and now he beats the Chargers to take his Oakland Raiders. Great job by their defense today and working on Dan Fouts. Their offensive line gave Plunkett the time, opened holes for their receivers. A tremendous performance by them.
And as Glenn Dawson and John Brody indicated as they analyzed the game, that the Raiders would have to establish the running game. And Van Egan with 85 yards, 3 long, time-consuming drives by Oakland, 2 to field goals and 1 to run out the clock. And Van Egan was the star in the 4th quarter.
What a strange finish to a season that started out rather awkwardly for the Oakland Raiders. Many said just a rebuilding year, and Oakland took exception to that. But they have 14 new faces on the team this year. Incredible that Al Davis, Tom Flores, and all of these Oakland Raider players have brought it to such an outstanding fruition.
The winningest team in football the last 20 years, and the Oakland Raiders, the few fans able to muster tickets in San Diego, have every cause to celebrate. We'll be right back after this word.
Our final here, the Oakland Raiders have earned themselves a trip to the Super Bowl where they will meet the Philadelphia Eagles. Final 34-27. This is a team that you could have bet against early in the season, early on. A lame duck team, perhaps playing its last season in Oakland. One that lost its quarterback early on. One that was 2-3 after 5 weeks. One that made it as a wild card entry. And one that it seems had everything going against it. Had to go into Cleveland and had to play a team in an ice box and managed to win, and had to come in here to San Diego. Tom Flores, come on. Coach Tom. Tom, one quick one. Congratulations on an outstanding year.
Thank you very much.
Besides outscoring San Diego, what did you want to accomplish coming in here?
Well, we wanted to contain them because we knew they had a great offense, and we knew we had to contain them and keep them out of the end zone. We had to score points because they scored points, and we scored. Our offense was great, and our defense really played well.
This has been a marvelous season in terms of character for this team because, as I said at the top, they could have found a lot of reasons to quit. Tough season in Oakland, fans not necessarily behind what was going on with the team, and then playing as a wild card entry. You deserve a great deal of credit.
Well, thank you very much. I'll tell you, this is a great bunch of guys. We played hard together. We hung in. and I'm very proud to be a part of this team. I'm proud of them. They're great.
And one final thing, I want you to be here for this as I go back to Dick Enberg with it. You're a man who holds a grudge a long time. First pro football game played in San Diego, September 18th, 1961. Raiders lost 44-0. Their first score, the Chargers' first score, was an interception picked off a quarterback named Tom Flores. This one makes up for it, doesn't it?
That's right. It really makes up. It's been a long time. We deserve to be where we are. We really do.
Tom, congratulations. We'll see you in New Orleans. Let's go on over to the San Diego dressing room and join Mike Adamle, who's with Gene Klein.
Well, Bryant, players and organization people will be the first to tell you that losing a ball game is not the end of the world, but it's got to hurt after coming so far and playing so well. Gene, first of all, the thing about that people have been asking about the Chargers' personnel, they're a team that runs up great numbers of statistically, defense and offensively, yet they're a mystery team. They play so well in spurts, and then sometimes they fall apart. How did you feel about today's contest?
Well, it was no mystery. I just think the ball bounced the other way. We came back from a 21-point deficit. We damn near made it. This team has nothing but character. They're nothing but fine football players and fine gentlemen. We're sorry we lost, but we hold our heads high, darn high. We're proud of the season we had. We came awful close, and we'll just go to work next year.
Is it a particularly bitter pill to swallow because of the fact that it is the Oakland Raiders?
Wouldn't make any difference if we lost to San Diego High. We lost. That doesn't make any difference at all. It makes no difference who you play. We needed this game to go down to New Orleans. We didn't get it. They got it, and that's the way it is.
Gene, thanks very much for joining us, and again, congratulations on the season.
Thank you.
Okay, right now let's go up to John Brody and Lenny Dawson.
Thank you, Mike. I think you can reflect on a lot of reasons, Leonard. It was one of the best playoff games that I've ever seen, and personally, it's a tribute to the Oakland Raiders. As it has been said so often, this was a transition year. How good are they going to get in the future? I think it's the swiftest transition any team ever made. Plunkett's got to be their guy in the future, as he is today. Any reflections on his play?
Yes, we said before the ball game that Plunkett has to be patient and try to throw underneath the linebackers, and he can't afford to turn the football over to this very explosive San Diego football team. He did exactly that. Plus, he added another dimension that he has done in the past, and he's taken off on his own and come up with some valuable yardage. Scored one touchdown, and I think it was an outstanding performance by Plunkett.
And on the other side of the coin, Dan Fouts had a rough time, a lot of scoring opportunities, and that's the way these kind of games really finish up. One team gets a few good breaks, takes capitalization of it, and the game is over. Oakland Raiders go into the Super Bowl, and Brian Gumbo, we're going back down to you.
Okay, John, back out on the field now to another person who believed all along the Raiders would be headed for New Orleans. That's Newsweek's Pete Axtone. Peter.
Thanks, Bryant. Kind of a sad scene for San Diego fans out here on the field, drifting out, nothing to look at, but ironically the scoreboard's showing the stats. The Chargers always win the stats when they lose because that's the kind of team they are. But I'd like to mention defense on this big offensive day. After his last championship game in Denver, Lester Hayes was so discouraged, he asked Al Davis maybe he should play safety. Maybe he didn't have the heart to stand the pressure of being a cornerback. Right now, I think it's safe to say Lester Hayes, considering that he's playing in the era when you can't even bump at the line of scrimmage anymore, may just be the most talented cornerback ever. He took the game away from Jefferson today, and I think it showed on those last few catches when J.J. didn't come down with balls that he usually did. So on a big offensive day, I'd like to leave it with a salute to Lester, and back to you, Brian.
Okay, Peter, thank you very much. One other thing about Lester, I shook hands with him. The Stickum. No microphone leaves my hand. Let's take a look at the highlights. Our final, again, was 34-27. It was a ball game that opened with Plunkett and Pastorini shaking on the sideline and Plunkett and Fouts putting the ball in the air early up. Third play from scrimmage. Plunkett goes up top, bounces off Kenny King's hands into the arms of Raymond Chester. Yes, the John Mackey rule is in effect. Chester takes it all the way. Oakland in front, 7-0. Dan Fouts came back quickly, though he was intercepted by Lester Hayes, but he kept throwing through this 48-yard strike into the arms of Charlie Joyner, number 35, Dwayne Osteen was all over Joyner. Still, Charlie came down with the ball. 7-7, this still in the first period. After that, the Raiders got one to make it 14-7 before Plunkett found Kenny King in the corner of the end zone to make it 21-7, putting the Raiders in front. When they opened it up to 28-7, it seemed like it might be a rout, but before the half ended, it was a Fouts to Joyner 8-yard touchdown pass that closed the gap to 28-14. That's how they broke for intermission. Perhaps things could have been different early on in the third period. Johnny Jefferson over the middle here, wide open in a 28-14 ball game, but JJ, the great JJ, over 1,000 yards, could not hang on. And so it was left to Mike Fuller to try to get San Diego Chargers back into the ball game. 28-17 at this point when he got the San Diego Chargers in good field position with a 28-yard punt return. The drive was concluded when Chuck Muncie took it over from the 6, 28-24. But that was as close as the Chargers could get because the Raiders held firm, and when Barr kicked the 23-yard field goal, they assured the final of 34-27. It was just left to Jim Plunkett and company to run off the clock, and who would have ever thought back in week number 6 that the AFC title game would come down to Jim Plunkett just running off the clock to send the Oakland Raiders on their way to New Orleans. So our final again, the Oakland Raiders turn back the San Diego Chargers by a score of 34-27. They're on their way to New Orleans in Super 15 to meet Philadelphia. You'll see it right here on NBC. I'll be there, and Dick Enberg, I know you will too. Richard?
Bryant, looking forward to it. I guess, Merlin Olsen, when you score 61 points in a game, it's hard to talk about defense, but you have your feelings in that regard.
Well, I think the battle in the trenches was won by Oakland, and that really turned the tide. They were able to get pressure with a four-man rush. They didn't have to blitz to get Fouts uncomfortable in there, which is something we talked about early. And on the other line, on the other side of it, they were able to handle the defensive line for the San Diego Chargers, make room for those backs, give them some room upfield, and I think the running game and the battle in the trenches turned in Oakland's direction, and that really made a big difference for them.
Of course, the 3 turnovers, it was true to form. You pointed it out early in the telecast. One team gives up the ball more often than anyone in the league. San Diego, they did. Oakland didn't cough it up once.
It's a shame that one of these teams has to walk off the field losing, and they'll think about this last game instead of all the great victories they've had during this year. But a good matchup, a well-fought, hard-fought game, and a worthy champion on its way to Miami or to New Orleans. Don't go to Miami. On their way to New Orleans to meet the Eagles.
And when you look ahead to the Super Bowl from the American Conference point of view, you think about one personality, Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett won the Heisman Award at Stanford in 1970. His coach, his quarterback coach at Stanford, was Dick Vermeil, now the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Tom Flores from the College of the Pacific and Vermeil from San Jose State were opposing quarterbacks in a big game in Stockton in 1959. And they've got the biggest of all coming up. They'll be matched across the sidelines in the Superdome in New Orleans 2 weeks from today. Congratulations, Philadelphia and Oakland. And now stay tuned for Chips, followed by the thriller Magic, except for our Mountain and Pacific stations where Chips and Magic will be seen at their regularly scheduled time.
The Oakland Raiders are back. Wide open big play football has brought them to the AFC Championship game. In 1980, Jim Plunkett directed an offense that prided itself on the rapid fire, the quick touchdown. Against the Chargers, Plunkett began the assault on the game's 3rd play from scrimmage. Raymond Chester grabbed the deflected pass and rambled 65 yards for the touchdown. Oakland had struck first. The Chargers immediately followed the leader. Dan Fouts hit number 84, Ron Smith, as San Diego counterpunched quickly. But the Raiders' secondary is a unit of tough alley fighters, none tougher than Lester Hayes. Hayes' style is man-to-man. He'll take on any receiver. Fouts learned that it's a mistake to take on Lester Hayes. Hayes' interception did not dampen Fouts' enthusiasm for the thrown ball. The San Diego quarterback went right back to work, this time with the desired result. Charlie Joyner's catch deserves another look. It was not only a brilliant reception, but a play that uniquely expressed the abilities of one of the NFL's best receivers. The heart and soul of Charlie Joyner are intense concentration and a guaranteed grip. Never were these skills more evident than on this touchdown. Following the Joyner touchdown, a Jim Plunkett scramble put the Raiders ahead 14-7. Then the Raiders quarterback took to the air. Plunkett's talent shaped Oakland's offense in 1980. An effective medium to long-range passer, Plunkett gave the Raiders the big play they wanted so very much. Against San Diego, he exploited the few soft spots in a strong defense with his patient, precise bullets. This touchdown to Kenny King increased Oakland's lead to 21-7. The possibility of a Raider romp loomed large. While Oakland's offense was lighting up the scoreboard, the Raiders' defense was shutting down the lightning bolt. When Dan Fouts looked long, Oakland's secondary made San Diego come up short. Otis McKinney's interception was the Raiders' second of the half, but it was nullified by an offsides penalty. It proved to be a short reprieve for San Diego, as the Chargers continued to be plagued by turnovers. Number 83, Ted Hendricks' recovery set up this Mark Van Egan touchdown, Oakland's fourth of the half. Oakland firepower, Charger mistakes, the story of the first half. Louis Kelcher knew all too well. It seemed as if the half had passed the Chargers by, like a parade going through a small town. With 6 minutes remaining in an agonizing first half, Fouts needed a touchdown. In an uncharacteristic manner, Fouts engineered a conservative 13-play drive that culminated with this touchdown pass to number 18, Charlie Joyner. But San Diego still had a long way to go to realize their championship aspirations. As the half ended, the Chargers trailed 28-14. Trailing by 14 at halftime, the Chargers were not only stunned but desperate. Points were needed, and so were Dan Fouts' completions. Interceptions were not. The Raiders' first-half intensity refused to fade as defensive backs like Dwayne Osteen squelched San Diego's well-tailored pass patterns. Although this play was nullified by a penalty, Oakland's pass coverage and pass rush have been their strengths in 1980. As Fouts tried to shear through the Raiders' defensive blanket, the outside rush of number 83, Ted Hendricks, smothered Fouts' attempt to stoke the Charger fires. Oakland's tenacity was remarkable, even for the elusive Charger receivers. Yet Fouts insisted that Oakland's cheek-to-jowl coverage would eventually deteriorate, and he continued to throw deep. He often looked for All-Pro John Jefferson, but the Raiders enveloped Jefferson like a second skin. Oakland successfully shut down San Diego's long ball offense by limiting Jefferson and Ron Smith to just 21 yards in the second half. As a result, San Diego shifted its strategy to the short pass, hoping to find success underneath Oakland's deep coverage. Number 80, Kellen Winslow, spearheaded a low-risk offense, which diverted costly turnovers and whetted the appetite of a point-hungry Charger team. Gradually, San Diego moved the ball goalward, then turned to number 46, Chuck Muncie. Muncie's touchdown highlighted the 17-point Charger surge and narrowed a seemingly insurmountable Oakland lead to 4 points. With San Diego's offense moving the ball with progressive effectiveness, the Charger defense regrouped and attempted to force maximum pressure on the Raider backfield. Blitzing linebackers like number 51 Woodrow Lowe caught Oakland blocking back Mark Van Egan by surprise and made Jim Plunkett defenseless. With the clock and the score in their favor, Oakland refused to panic and calmly staged methodical offensive drives. Van Egan's straight-ahead burst punched Charger defenders into the middle. In complementary fashion, Plunkett's passes exploited the now vulnerable outside flats. The game's later moments showed a Raider team which previously had been unseen. Instead of setting up another big play, as they customarily do to put the game out of reach, Oakland refused to revert to their torrid first-half explosiveness. They were instead content with patience. Oakland's strategy rested upon a simple premise. A team without the ball can't score. And with sure-handed receivers like Bob Chandler, San Diego saw little of the ball. Oakland controlled the ball for 17 of the final 21 minutes, denying Fouts any last-minute heroics. Charger anxiety grew into frustration as number 99 Wilbur Young moved offsides, allowing Oakland to retain longer possession. Oakland's miraculous season was then entrusted to its greatest miracle maker, Jim Plunkett, and the Oakland quarterback showed that an old horse still knows how to gallop. Oakland's reborn quarterback and an unheralded defense transformed San Diego's pregame jubilation into postgame discouragement. Many thought Fouts' ninth 300-yard game of the season would ensure a flight to New Orleans, but it was only enough to guarantee cab fare home. The black parts of the gridiron, the Oakland Raiders, are once again the champs of the American Conference. For the third time in their history, the Raiders have reached the pinnacle of pro football, the Super Bowl, an honor they will share with the Philadelphia Eagles. Many had thought Oakland was a franchise on the decline, but the Raiders proved that they were merely slumbering. Despite the outside issues and new personnel, Oakland never lost its confidence, nor its competitive desire.
Super Sunday, what a day. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's like a dream come true. It's unbelievable. Yes, and we're going to win. We are going to win, no question.
In honor of the 52 U.S. Patriots who have safely returned home today. The Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's 70 degrees outside, it's 70 degrees inside. The Superdome, the scene for Super Bowl 15, the championship of the National Football League. Well over 75,000 fans
blessed with tickets to see today whether Oakland or Philadelphia will excel today as pro football champions. Answer to the Mardi Gras, and for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Oakland Raiders, the agony of this long 2-week wait is just about over, Merlin Olsen.
I'm ready. Send me in, Coach. I'm ready to play. It's been hard on us, too. Not only is it tough for these players to wait for 2 weeks, Dick, but this is the toughest town in the NFL to play football in. There's so many distractions that keep you from thinking about football.
We've analyzed the game inside and out, from the bunions of Tony Franklin to the stickum that Lester Hayes uses. Why don't we try to simplify it for fans right now? One example from each side. How does the Oakland Raiders, how do they win today?
They have to do what got them into this game, what they do best, which is to go deep. They have to throw the ball deep. Plunkett needs extra time to do that. Defensively, the Eagles want to deny them the bomb, force them short, force them to be patient with the football.
You are nervous.
I'm nervous. I'm ready.
Jim Plunkett was successful at that. Of his 18 touchdown passes, they averaged 27 yards a throw. The Raiders like to go deep. All right, what do the Eagles have to do to win?
The Eagles are a ball control team. They want to run the football. They control the ball 2 weeks ago against Dallas. They'd like to do that today as well. Now, Oakland on the other side wants to force them to throw the ball so they can get their special defenses in for the passing game and shut them off.
The Raiders, of course, led the NFL in takeaways, and of course have the interceptor supreme in Lester Hayes, who led the entire NFL. We're pleased to share the microphones today with two great former NFL quarterbacks, one of whom played in the very first Super Bowl. Let's go to Len Dawson and John Brody.
Lenny, all we've heard all week is how the anxieties get into the mind of the players 24 hours before the game, right up until game time. Now, I would like to make judgment on that fact, but since collectively we have 2 Super Bowls between us, I think I'll ask you, what is it and why?
John, have you ever been so nervous that you can't sit, you can't stand, you can't be in one place for any more than 15 or 20 seconds? You cannot sleep at night. When you try to eat, the food stops just about there. You don't dare chew some gum and do something else at the same time. They are nervous right now. They want to get on with this contest. But the reason why is because this is the game. There's a lot of football games, but this is it. Anybody who has ever been involved in athletics has a dream to be known as the very best. They have an opportunity this afternoon to do that, because the team that wins, they will know in their hearts, everybody else will know that they are the very best, and they won't have to explain it to anybody.
Well, the fanfare's about over, and both teams are more than ready to have a go at it. Dick?
All right, John, we'll be looking for your reports during the course of the game. You know, as much as we tell ourselves to be cool about this, you can just hear it in all of our voices. We're up in the emotions prior to that kickoff. I imagine the coaches right now are reminding them no mistakes, and it's going to be easy to fail in that regard.
In an important game like this, you don't want to give anything away easily, and turnovers could be the big difference in this game. The ball drops on the carpet, the wrong end of the field, somebody recovers the fumble, and this is not going to be an easy game to win anyway. You don't want to give it away.
I would think that the Raiders would have the advantage in that regard, and that they have 11 men who have played in the Super Bowl before. They can cool the others. The Eagles don't have a single player who have ever appeared in this game.
Playoff experience is very important, and I think that's a slight edge, but you got to remember that the Eagles are a team that plays almost all their games on artificial turf. They have the edge in that department.
We're about set to introduce the starting lineups. The Eagles and the Raiders will be back in the Superdome right after we pause.
Teams take the field in this long week of festivity for the fans, brought to a head, and for the players, they finally find peace. It has to be a great moment for them. They'll finally get their heads away from all the publicity and into a huddle with friends and doing business.
They really won't settle down, Dick, until they get their first hit out there, either on special teams or they can get out and line up, take a snap, take a pop. The butterflies have to just be flying in flocks inside their stomachs right now.
Chris Barr kicks it off for Oakland. Deep to return, Billy Campfield, number 37 of the Philadelphia Eagles. He has with him Harrington and Jamona. Super Bowl 15 underway. Campfield tripped at the 23-yard line. Otis McKinney, number 23 of the Raiders, made the tackle. The Eagles offense. Ron Jaworski is the quarterback. And he'll be guiding Wilbert Montgomery, an outstanding receiver and runner, and fullback Leroy Harris. The receivers, Harold Carmichael, who has the longest string of games with at least one reception in the history of the NFL. Charlie Smith, a broken jaw, playing with a broken jaw. Keith Prepley, the tight end. The blockers, Walters, Perot, Morris, Peoples, and Sizemore. See the yellow strip on the back of the helmets of both teams in honor of our return to the Raiders. When they use the 3-4 configuration, Matuzak, Kinlaw, speedy inside, Dave Browning, light but quick on the outside. Ted Hendricks, a banner year, one of the top NFL defenders. Matt Millen, the rookie, Bob Nelson, and Rod Martin. The deep backs, Lester Hayes, 13 interceptions this year, 5 in the playoffs. Dwayne Osteen at the other corner with Davis and Owens at safety. He'll check his replacement. Carmichael to the near side, Smith to the far side. They'll go with only one back and a double tight end. Spagnola and Krefli bookend the line. Play action. Jaworski intercepted by Rod Martin. Martin at the 40. He is to the Eagle 29-yard line. Martin, who had 2 interceptions during the year, the veteran from Southern California, gets the first break of the game.
One thing you can't afford to do is to give the football away, especially on your own side of the field. Good ball read there, but Jaworski threw into 2 defenders. Martin doing an excellent job. Let's see what happened to Spagnola, who's trying to slide down into a little open space. Good read by the 2 linebackers. He has no chance on that football.
Rod Martin, the man who intercepted that pass that led to the Oakland touchdown, getting some tape work. And they'll measure for first down first before the Eagles make their decision as to whether or not they'll decline the penalty.
To help, one of the...
Third down, 7. Jaworski, Jones in pursuit. Ooh, Lester Hayes in front of Charlie Smith. And fortunately for the Eagles, Jaworski threw the other side. The mad interceptor had his beat and was looking for his 6th playoff interception.
Ted Hendricks did not figure in the pass rush, but he certainly did disrupt the blocking. Charlie Smith, number 85, told you earlier, he's playing with a broken jaw. Now the responsibility of the receiver when his quarterback is in trouble, come back to the ball. Smith coming across the field should have been coming toward his quarterback. Jaworski has had a great deal of pressure applied during this game. Of course, one critical mistake forced early. He doesn't want to make another one.
Now, Merlin, the 4-man defensive line for the Raiders, Willie Jones and Cedric Hardman, come in to play the defensive end positions.
We're going to put a clock down at the bottom of the screen to give you an idea of how much time Jaworski will have on this pass.
Carmichael way out to the left. He's buying time and throwing long for Parker. Touchdown! A flag is down. Rodney Parker, a New Orleans native, may have an Eagle touchdown. No motion against Philadelphia. It appeared Carmichael headed upfield before the snap. He was in motion and looked as if he turned just a little too soon.
Carmichael is in motion because he has trouble getting off the line of scrimmage against the bump and run.
Illegal motion, number 17.
And he made a critical mistake. He was not the prime receiver in the pattern. Jaworski scrambling outside, fires it deep. Let's take a look at Carmichael. Now watch the turn he makes just ahead of the snap of the ball. He cannot be going forward. He must be going laterally or away from the ball. Rodney Parker, 83, the man who eventually got free, made an excellent adjustment to the football, caught it under pressure from Burgess Owen, but all for naught.
So another penalty hurts Philadelphia. It's 3rd and 15 instead of tied 7-7. Jaworski to Parker. Knocking it away, Otis McKinney, number 23. So the Eagles, a 5-yard offside penalty on the Raider drive that kept Oakland's chances for a touchdown alive, and they scored. And now they lose one of their own on a motion penalty against Carmichael.
They had a big touchdown called back against them 2 weeks ago. Dallas Cowboys. They're at
Spagnuolo, let's give credit to a year in the NFL. This is his second season. He caught a couple of balls last year. Going long for Smith. What a play at the last moment by Lester Hayes. It appeared he was beaten until the last step. We've been watching Lester Hayes, the all-pro cornerback. Let's go to John Brody and Len Dawson.
Well, Dick, one of the problems that Philadelphia is facing is how to get off the line of scrimmage against this bump and run defense, particularly Lester Hayes, number 37. He does such an outstanding job when he's uptight. They want to get him off the line of scrimmage. You can see right there that Lester is fouling his man all over. 17, Carmichael. He's on him. It was a running play that time. Also, here's Carmichael going in motion another way to try to avoid being bumped at the line of scrimmage, but so far it has not been working for Philadelphia.
Lester Hayes, who credits his former college teammate at Texas A&M as being his mentor and tutor.
That was their number one priority, John. And we'll have to keep an eye on them, see if they can get it done here before this half is over.
2nd and 6. Montgomery through his hands. Covered by Lester Hayes. We credited Hayes' mentor at Texas A&M, a pretty good one at that. A Pro Bowler, All-Pro Pat Thomas, the cornerback of the Los Angeles Rams. Here he is, covering Wilbert Montgomery.
A pass that has a lot of fire on it, but is thrown and should have been caught right through the arms. Lack of concentration by a man who doesn't normally make that kind of mistakes.
Reminder, in case some of your friends are at work today and want to see the Super Bowl for the first time. Lester Hayes in the Stickum jar. He looks like one of those folks down in the quarter that make pralines. And about 6, outside the 36, Mike Davis wearing testimony to this hard-hitting game. So far today, Philadelphia 1 for 5 in third down conversions. Tuzak almost offside. Carmichael complete at the 40. And he is finally wrapped up at the 44 of Oakland. Burgess Owens made the tackle. A 30-yard play. Clock is running. 2:22, 2:21 left in the first half. A big third down throw by Jaworski.
A little scuffling going on downfield. Jaworski almost got the stunning Matuzak offsides, throws this right through the hands of the defender. Carmichael gets tackled. Great arm tackle there by number 44, Burgess Owens. Otis McGinney and one of the Eagles scuffling downfield, but they got him separated there.
2 minutes left in the first half of Super Bowl 15. Raiders 14, Eagles 3, over 75,000 in this incredible Superdome in New Orleans. Harold Carmichael, the all-time receiver in Eagles history.
Very important for him to have a big day if they're going to be successful offensively. This, of course, the play that was such a big play, pulled him down into Raider territory. Giant target, able to run a 4.7 in its early years, has lost a little speed, but I'm sure that that particular play made that young man very happy.
Young and old, everyone in this stadium is excited. The build-up is incredible. It's an experience if you ever have the opportunity. Fortunate enough, it is a happening, no question.
The Eagles have been able to move the ball. They just have not been able to take advantage of their scoring drives. And one of the things that we've seen, we talked about the pressure on the line of scrimmage. Jaworski has thrown the ball with great pressure on him. It seems as if Plunkett has had time to pick his receivers, and when he didn't have time, has scrambled. Jaworski has yet to scramble effectively in this game.
And two, what would appear to be innocent 5-yard penalties are very critical today. A 5-yard offside penalty that extended Raiders' first chance to score, and they did. And then a penalty against Carmichael cost the Eagles a 40-yard touchdown pass. Rodney Parker and probably Wilbert Montgomery, all receivers. There is no tight end in the lineup for Philadelphia. 2nd down and 8 at the Raider 42. And the Raiders counter with 5 defensive backs. Blitz. Jaworski to Carmichael. And that'll be a first down at the 27 of the Raiders. Philadelphia's not going to call a timeout. 143-142. The Raiders lead 14-3. The Eagles trying to claw their way into the end zone, and they got close at the intermission.
You heard the call at 94, an audible call by Jaworski.
He threw that one away. Stops the clock with 1:20 left. Willie Jones applying pressure on Jaworski. And Jaworski talking with Ben Dreif. I did not see a flag, and there is none. Jaworski from Youngstown State, where he was a side saddle T quarterback. Only Brody and Dawson could appreciate that difficulty.
Quite possible that what he was angry about was the fact that he was roughed a bit after the play. You see him being snatched around by Willie Jones.
Had he really physically thrown him down, he would have had a cause for anger. Second down. Oh, he smothered that time. Lester Hayes came up with a one-hopper. Bob Nelson, 51. He found the trap door in the middle of that line and came through cleanly.
One of the things the Raiders have done effectively all year is stunt from different formations and different positions. Usually it's Hendricks coming. On this occasion, Nelson, 51. And Jaworski is lucky to get that football out of there. Lucky it didn't fall into the hands of the Oakland Raiders.
That's a tough percentage pass when you're wearing a man 230 pounds around your neck like beads.
Pretty tough to throw the football when they're on you in 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, just over 1.5 seconds.
The twos, John Matuzak. He's going to be starring in a movie released later this spring called Caveman. Go get him, twos.
That the Eagles picked up last week against the Dallas Cowboys was picked up on plays exactly like that. Cutting back against the grain, especially out of the I formation. Montgomery cut back that time, but he cut right back into traffic. Fine job by the Oakland defense of flowing with the action and not allowing Montgomery any room to operate.
Raiders are looking pass. And get it. Intercepted by Martin. He was out of bounds when he intercepted the ball. It will count as a turnover. The same man who picked one off to start the game and led Oakland to its first touchdown has another.
When Rod Jaworski came to the Eagles, Dick Vermeil said you must learn to do two things. Not throw as many interceptions and throw a higher percentage of completions. Throw the ball more accurately and learn when not to throw the football. This was an occasion that Jaworski should not have thrown the football.
Yeah, reminds you of the very first Super Bowl game. Max McGee hardly caught a pass all year, had a couple of touchdowns in that first game. Martin had only 2 interceptions all year, 2 today. The former commissioner of the old American Football League, general manager partner of the Oakland Raiders, Al Davis, he's sitting on a comfortable 21-3 lead over the Philadelphia Eagles. And Rod Martin has taken the ball away from Jaworski on his second interception of the day at the Raider 32. And Brody, do you think the Raiders will change their offensive philosophy?
Dick, what they'll do is go to the personality that they enjoy most. They get a lead, they'll go to Mark Van Eegen. You remember he ran out the clock against San Diego and it looked like they'd fought themselves back in the ball game. When they do throw, they'll throw it up the field. They will not fiddle around trying to get it in between linebackers. They're in a perfect position. This situation suits their whole personality.
Definitely with its heels in the hole. Second and 10, Jaworski. Oh, almost caught for a safety. Wide open is Smith. He's got it. First down at the 45 of Oakland. Charlie Smith with that big mask to protect his broken jaw, and Jaworski just did elude Mike Davis, who had designs on a safety.
Clock at the bottom indicating the amount of time Jaworski has. It's a blitz, an all-out blitz. Mike Davis coming from the safety position, jumps and has Jaworski right on the line. But Jaworski plays it cool, takes all the time he has, and rifles a perfect shot. Had he been able to get that one a little bit further, if Charlie Smith had caught that in full stride, he may have gone all the way.
Well, let's see if that's the play that gets it. It's in 3 seconds left. The Eagles need the ball and need to score just about every time.
Defense number 37 was lined up in the neutral zone. 37.
You talk about playing your man tight. Lester Hayes was the man offside.
Lester's inside. He's on the other side of the line to bump and run him.
Look at that stick him. He's got it everywhere. Helmet, the back of his pants, his ankles.
Quarterbacks love him. They get that ball back, it sticks to their hand. We talked about the fact that the Oakland Raiders have started to go more and more to the right side of their line. But they still love to go back to their veterans. Shaw and...
You saw Lester Hayes a moment ago on the sidelines being taped. I want to say something about Lester while we have a moment. Hayes has a speech problem. At times stutters, and it's been a very difficult thing for him. And he was misunderstood. Some thought that because of that problem, he was quiet, he was cocky, maybe too confident, unfriendly, and he's had to show his talent, his ability on the field of play, and how well he's expressed himself. And I know Lester in the offseason now is going to be working on that speech impediment. We have to admire his talent. Dick Vermeil, time running out, and some of the Eagle fans are nervous. They want Philadelphia to get the ball in the air.
Here it goes.
Complete. At the 40, that'll be a first down. Lester Hayes made the tackle on Charlie Smith. 17-yard play.
One thing for certain, the Oakland Raiders lined up expecting the pass. You see the signals being made from the sideline. Vermeil trying to get Wilbert Montgomery quickly to the sideline.
Of course, the fact is, Merlin, that if you misfire on a pass, at least, unless it's intercepted, it stops the clock. You misfire on a run, and you've wasted another half minute.
Well, obviously, the clock is their worst enemy now. They need quick scores, not just touchdowns, but quick touchdowns.
2nd and 11. Fumble, and that's going to about do it. The Raiders have recovered. Willie Jones has the football. And now the Raiders start to celebrate. The fans know that this one's going to belong to them with 5.5 left. Another mistake by Philadelphia.
I can't help but reflect on that picture of frustration that we saw moments ago. Jaworski looking to the sideline, angry at not getting the signal. Vermeil angry at not being able to get the help he needs. And then a crucial mistake.
Haste makes waste. 5:30 left. It's Oakland in front by 17. Kind of the happiness that you can share with the winning team, and also the ambivalent feelings. Kind of sad to say goodbye for another year. It's been an outstanding season. We thank everyone for their incredibly fine support. Jaworski. Intercepted. Rod Martin, can you believe it? 3 interceptions today, and the Raiders have it back. And if Plunkett's the offensive star, the defensive star is Rod Martin. He's got the hat trick.
Only 12 interceptions in the entire 16-game season for Ron Jaworski. And he has been hammered by the secondary of the Oakland Raiders today.
Rod Martin, he started things for the Raiders, and now he's trying to wrap it up. That will be a Super Bowl record, and how appropriate. 3 interceptions for Martin, 2:50 left. It's academic. The Raiders are about to win Super Bowl 15. Reminder that Bryant Gumbel and NFL 80 will be down in the winner's locker room. Rod Martin must have some nice things to say. I wonder what Al Davis's comments will be when he receives the trophy. Called by the Philadelphia Eagles. That face says it all. The record is most attempts, not the 3 interceptions. You'll remember Rod Martin's name. Jim Plunkett on the other hand. The Raiders not showing much emotion, but that's really to be expected. This is an incredible group.
Being around their practice, and people say, how can you fit in with them? They're bandits. They're the bad guys. They're really not. They're a group of very nice people. They love to court the image of bandits. They wear the black. They wear that Raider badge proudly. But they handle things from within. They take care of each other. They have fine leadership, veteran leadership on their team. Tom Flores certainly has not received the kind of credit he deserves for his role in what these Raiders have done this year. But that man right there has had quite a bit to do with it, too. Al Davis.
And you have to be happy with that man, what's happening inside him, Tom Flores. What a story. You talk about Cinderella stories. Chicano worked 6, 7 years old in the fields, became a fine athlete, on to Pacific, then a fine pro career, and now maybe the most important moment in his life. We'll find that out as well from Brian in the postgame show. Dennis Harrison again meets Mark Van Egan, and again the Eagles call timeout their last of the game. I don't know if miracles that big can fit inside the Superdome, but that's all Philadelphia can hope for now, and they'll have the 2-minute timeout. No, there wasn't a timeout call. They're running the clock now. We're televising this game all over the world, and there's from the Republic of Mexico. Welcome, gentlemen, to New Orleans. Of course, there are so many telecasts going around the world, including this one. Van Egan has what appears to be a first down, and if so, that should just about wrap it up. 2-minute warning is given. 2 minutes left. Super Bowl 15. Kind to the Raiders, and has a bad taste for the Eagles. 2 minutes to left. It won't be remembered as one of the great Super Bowls, but it will be one we'll look back on as the long shot on the board, winning it all, and the first team to ever win 4 games in the Super Bowl in the playoffs. The Raiders start to enjoy. 2 minutes to go. Some of the Raiders have already gone to the locker room. On first down, Derek Jensen stays in bounds, and the clock will run unless the Eagles spend their final timeout. We showed you the contingent from Mexico televising the game back to their country. The other foreign broadcasters here, from Australia to England, Japan with their own crew, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, West Germany, and of course on American Forces Television around the world, this telecast is being shown. 1:20 left. Jensen to the 20-yard line. Derek Jensen from the University of Texas Arlington. Well, for Philadelphia, the Phillies won the World Series. 76ers lost in the finals of the NBA to the Lakers. The Flyers lost in the Stanley Cup Finals to the New York Islanders. And the Eagles will lose today in the Super Bowl. But what a year for the city of brotherly love. And, of course, that'll be the site of the NCAA basketball championships. And you'll see that here on NBC in March. That's how much money the Raiders will win. Actually, more than the Eagles had they won because they got $3,000 for that first wild card game. $35,000, a nice little bonus for the Raiders. 40 seconds left. Jensen with a first down. And I don't believe the Raiders will have to run another play. We want to thank Dennis Mnuchin and Bruce Jolish, our player identification personnel, Steve Dans, Jimmy Burns, statistician Joe Costanza, NBC's Director Ted Nathanson, our executive producer Don Olmeyer, producers Larry Cirillo,
George Finkel, all the engineers and cameramen, 15 cameras here. The final seconds tick away. Jim Plunkett leads the Oakland Raiders to Super Bowl 15 victory, and Plunkett is announced as the most valuable player. The final score, Oakland 27, Philadelphia 10. Ted Hendricks, one of his greatest seasons. The free spirit of the Raiders. And Jim Plunkett, a man who almost quit. He seriously considered giving it up. Talked into staying by Al Davis, and Jim Plunkett takes such a wonderful bow. Most valuable player. Joe Campbell, he left New Orleans. Talk about an escape. The Saints won one. He has a Super Bowl ring.
There's no way that anyone can deny the Raiders took this one the hard way. They fought the long road against all the odds. An underdog in each of the games they played. The cold field and the icy field in Cleveland. Everyone said they can't win up there. They went to San Diego, took a victory there, and then they came here and won this final game, this Super Bowl 50.
Only after starting in the wild card game against Houston and winning at home as an underdog. So this country for so many years has been known to cheer for the underdog. For many it was tough to root for Oakland, and they liked that role. The underdogs have prevailed. About Jim Plunkett's mother. His father is deceased. His mother has been blind since 20 years of age. And listen to this game today. The courage she gave this young man. A lot of lovely stories. Plunkett joins his teammates. The Raiders have won Super Bowl 15, and we'll talk to the winners in just a moment. Locker room here at the Louisiana Superdome of the Super Bowl 15 champion Oakland Raiders. Dwayne Osteen blowing kisses to his friends and family back in California. You know, Merle, it's interesting. There have been a lot of... Oh, here comes Tom Flores. Let's eavesdrop.
Hold it. Hold it.
All right, take it.
We were the best team. We deserve to be world champions, baby. I'm proud of you.
Put it on. Let's go. No long speech is expected from Tom Flores as he thanks his team for this victory.
Excuse me, guys.
Commends them. And we're going to hear from the players themselves. We'll have highlights of this game. And, of course, the trophy presentation as Commissioner Roselle will present that to owner Al Davis as we return to the Louisiana Superdome for our post-game show after these messages from your local station.
We are inside a very jubilant Oakland Raider dressing room with a very happy coach, Tom Flores, and a bunch of Raiders who were quick to grab their cameras because they want to watch the awarding of the trophy for the first time in 4 years to the Oakland Raiders. On the other side of the coin, the Philadelphia Eagles locker room, after a great season, well, it has ended in defeat. They've gone down 2 defeats to the Oakland Raiders. Final count 27-10. Dick Vermeil there was his troops, but certainly the 5-year plan worked in his mind. He just fell 1 game short. They are a team certain to be back. But back to the moment at hand, and that is Tom Flores. This is getting to be a habit, me standing on a victory stand with you and saying congratulations.
Well, I love it. Thank you, Brian. I love it very much. This is the greatest moment of my life. It's just, I'm very proud of this bunch of guys.
You know, we were a little bit surprised at how wide open you came into this game, and you challenged the Philadelphia defense right off. I know in your first 3rd and 3 situation, you ran at them, and that was one thing you weren't supposed to be able to do.
That's right. We weren't gonna pull any horns back. We were gonna go with a big play. We were gonna go after them within the realm of our game plan, and it just worked out fine.
Tom, Jim Plunkett winds up the MVP of this game. We all know just what he's done. He's 13-2 as a starter. But let me ask you very honestly, when Dante went down at 2-3 after 5 weeks, did you think this could be possible?
I didn't know if this could be possible. I knew we could win with Jim. I felt we could win with Jim because he was a fine quarterback and we had a lot of confidence in him. I didn't know that it would come this far because that was right. We only had played 5 games. But once we got into the playoffs, I knew we were as good as any team in the playoffs and we had a chance.
We are eagerly awaiting, we might add, the arrival of Al Davis for the trophy presentation. Commissioner Pete Rozelle is standing right by us, but we're waiting to see when Al arrives. Let me ask you something. Now, everybody is waiting to see what happens up here with Al and Pete. Was that whole affair a distraction, Tom?
Never was. Never was a distraction. Al would never let it be a distraction. His main purpose was for us to win, prepare to win, and anything else was secondary. He would take care of that in his own time.
Did the team share that sentiment?
The team did. The team never talked about anything but playing football and winning. That was the only thing.
How would you characterize the attitude of this team?
This is a very together team and a very courageous bunch of guys. They refused to believe that they could do anything but win.
Hold on 1 second. It's not that I don't enjoy your company. I just want to ask Al Locasal, who's Al Davis' assistant. Is Al showing? There he is. Okay, we're awaiting the arrival of Al Davis. The amazing scene in here is that a number of players have donned cameras because they want to see this moment also. Al is coming with his fists raised in the air. You can hear it. Al Davis, congratulations. Congratulations, Al. Outstanding. Commissioner Pete Rozelle, I know you've got a presentation to do.
Jesus, I wanted that.
Al, the Raiders became, of course, the first wild card to win the Super Bowl. I think it's a tremendous compliment to the organization because you had to win 4 postseason games. Today, of course, was the big one, the Super Bowl. I think it's a great credit to you for putting this team together. I think that Tom Flores clearly did one of the great coaching jobs in recent years, all season and particularly today. And it's a credit to some marvelous, dedicated athletes, especially Jim Plunkett and that offensive line today.
All right.
You've earned it. Congratulations.
Al?
Thanks very much.
Al, you finally got the mic.
Thanks very much, Commissioner. You know, when you look back at the years of glory of the Oakland Raiders, but this was our finest hour. This was the finest hour in the history of the Oakland Raiders. To Tom Flores, the coaches, and the great athletes, you were magnificent out there today. You really were. The years will go on. We owe a great tribute to all our alumni all over the country, the great fans. And we want to welcome back the hostages to the United States. And take pride and be proud. Your commitment to excellence and your will to win will endure forever. You were magnificent.
Al, congratulations. Is this one any sweeter than the one 4 years ago?
Well, this has been the sweetest because it's our finest hour. And I'm just so proud of everyone here. Just a great staff. Just great coaching.
I've got to ask you, can it be displayed as proudly in Oakland as Los Angeles?
Oh, I don't want to get into that, Bryant. Now, I don't think that anyone should ever take away from the great game and the great achievement of our players.
Al, congratulations again.
Thank you very much. I wish Ed McGaw would here. He's coming down right now. He's my general partner and just a super guy, and we're all so proud of this great trophy once again. Hi, Captain Gene.
Thank you, Al. Commissioner, as you suggested, it was possible to separate the two Pete Rozelles, the two Al Davises. There was no feud up here.
All you can do is compliment this club for what they've done this year, and as I pointed out, they really did it the hard way.
Pete, congratulations on a tremendous 61st NFL season.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we're going to grab Big Gene Upshaw, and we'll do a couple of other things right after this. The story of Oakland's 27-10 win over the Eagles is a story of defense. And Lester Hayes, they wanted to go at you. They wanted to prove they could beat you, and they really didn't.
Like I was just saying, I was it's like our whole scheme was to start. It's like we stop here, Michael. Just saying like we held him in check and just saying like it was super day for us, and just saying like this guy over here just saying like he was just saying it was super day, just saying like because of the fact.
I was about to say you're the master thief, but he stole the spotlight. Rod Martin, I know you never had a better game at SC. Did you ever have one any time?
No, I haven't. First of all, I'd like to thank God for giving me the ability, my teammates for winning this game, and God bless the hostages from being back.
Praise the Lord. Two of the men who made life very, very tough on Mr. Ron Jaworski. Let's go back over to the Eagle locker room, Mike Adamley.
January the 25th, 1981. America welcomes home 52 of its bravest amid the color and excitement of Super Bowl 50.
Super Sunday, what a day. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's like a dream come true. It's unbelievable. Yes, and we're going to win. We are going to win, no question.
Confident champions of the American Football Conference, the Oakland Raiders danced into this prestigious ball wearing glass slippers. If ever there was a Cinderella champion, it was these men in silver and black. Their quarterback, Jim Plunkett, had salvaged a wrecked career to become the NFL's comeback player of the year. And in only his second season, head coach Tom Flores directed a team with 14 new players through the wild card playoffs and into the Super Bowl. Shrewdly built by owner Al Davis, Oakland reflected the cool professional attitude of a team accustomed to meaningful games. This was all new to the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles, since Dick Vermeil had molded a winner out of a former loser. Because their personality mirrored his discipline and determination, these Eagles were often given more credit for being hard workers than good football players. However, in November, these tough Eagles had beaten the Raiders 10-7, mainly by sacking Jim Plunkett 8 times. It was here, in one of the season's most physical encounters, the initial battle lines were drawn for Super Bowl 15.
Well, I learned that from getting close to Jaworski and knocking him down a couple times, that he wears English leather. Jerry Sizemore wears Aramis. And that guy, Pete Perot, that second-year guy from Southwest Louisiana, he doesn't wear any cologne. He doesn't even use deodorant, I don't think.
Super Bowl 15 featured the most striking contrast in opponents since Darth Vader first crossed lasers with Luke Skywalker.
Here we go! Speed! Yo, Frank! We a dog fight now, man. What do you say? Come on!
Hey, guys, we only have 60 minutes to get it done, so no sense in wasting. Start on the first play and give it everything you got on every snap, huh? Good luck to all of you, huh? Here we go.
And Super Bowl 15 is upon us.
First down.
On the game's third play, Dick Vermeil called
Double, base pass 46-47, check with me.
for Vermeil and his coaching staff in the press box above. It proved to be a play-action pass that they immediately regretted.
Play fake. Back is Jaworski with time to throw.
He's got Spag.
Drills one. Intercepted. Rod Martin.
Oh, run. No. Threw it right to him. Thanks, Johnny. He went cover 6 and the linebacker came off.
Rod Martin, who was once cut by the Raiders, made the first big takeaway of the game from his outside linebacker position. Instead of lofting the ball over Martin, Jaworski fired hard and low, aiming for a seam in the Raiders' zone that turned out to be a mirage. Martin's interception proved to be a harbinger of bad times for the
Coach, We got plenty of time, and we're moving the ball well. Just we've given them a couple things. We just keep our heads, and everything is fine as far as the game plan. Nothing to matter at all.
But not all was well with the Eagle game plan. Oakland's nose guard, Reggie Kinlaw, number 62, was personally shutting down Philadelphia's prize running attack.
Come on! Where the hell did nose guard coming from? Kinlaw's been paying so far.
Kinlaw proved to be one persistent lighthouse around which the storming chaos of the Raider defense revolved. Pursuit by Kinlaw and the Oakland linebackers completely took away the cutback running of Wilbert Montgomery and left the Eagles with only 69 yards rushing on the day. Unable to go through the Raiders' defense, Philadelphia was forced to go over it. Midway through the second period, a series of Jaworski completions set up Philadelphia's first points of the day, a 30-yard field goal by Tony Franklin. At last, the Eagles had reason to hope.
They're playing like we would like them to play to beat them. They really are, coverage-wise and everything else. Yeah. Look at these guys. The big thing is we're all look a little bit tight, and they look exhausted already because of nerves, and we got to get them to relax a little bit.
Here's Franklin advancing on the football.
Up to this point, Philadelphia had seemed tense, even apprehensive.
Moody back takes it on the 1-yard line. Out to the 5, the 10, straight ahead 15. He has hit a torn fumble. Followed on by Rod Martin. The Raiders have it. What a belt that time. Now the Raiders get the football after a tremendous lick.
Ron Baker's hit was nearly the jolt the Eagles needed. But as would be the case all day, the drowsy Eagles were a step behind the wide-awake Raiders. Oakland was embracing its opportunities. Philadelphia was not. But while the Eagles were not playing their best, behind almost every missed opportunity, there was a hustling Raider. However, Philadelphia's worst wound was self-inflicted, with seconds remaining in the half.
Third down, quick release, goes to the end zone, overthrown, and a little quick time.
Oh, Ron. Perfect call.
Good break for the Raiders as Parker really got out of the box that time and had McKinney beat.
On fourth down, Eagle fortunes went from bad to worse.
Snap, spot, kick on the way. It is blocked. It's scooped up by Willie Jones. He drops it at the 20. He goes back to pick it up. He's hit. He fumbles again. It's on the bounce. It's on the carpet. It's a wild melee. The Raiders have the football. Holy Toledo.
No player in the history of pro football has blocked more kicks than Oakland's Ted Hendricks, number 83. However, none was more important than this one, for it confirmed that Oakland was winning pro football's world championship in the most convincing fashion possible. Trailing 21-3 with over 13 minutes remaining in the third quarter,
Plunkett's eating us alive.
the Eagles still believed that the promised land was within reach. The problem was, the only road out of these badlands was through the mountains of the Raider defense. Knowing that Ron Jaworski was being heavily pressured, Oakland secondary laid back in zone coverages designed to take away the long pass. When you're trying to throw over and between the NFL's tallest set of linebackers, there is little margin for error. And on a day when Ron Jaworski needed to be most accurate, he was not. Rod Martin's second interception tied a Super Bowl record and resulted in another Oakland score.
From 46, it's kicked well. And it is good. And Philadelphia is...
Barfield goal concluded the scoring as Oakland ended Philadelphia's dreams of a world championship.
Dick Vermeil must be feeling the sting of frustration right now.
Anyone who ever said one game cannot tarnish a great season never lost a Super Bowl.
As good as you play to get here and play like that, sad going way to finish the season. Give Oakland a lot of credit. They beat our butts. Wasn't a fluke.
This tale was to have a storybook ending for the remarkable Raiders. A new Super Bowl record, achieved by perhaps the least known of all these Cinderella stuff.
Back is Jaworski. Sets up really deep. Now comes up the middle. Picked off. Rod Martin, the third time to lose. And Rod Martin once again slams the door in the face of the man they call Jaws. A sort of fitting symbol. Silver and black football is king of the hill in the National Football League. Crescendo of Raider fans beginning to rise.
Oakland's victory created the sort of joyous reaction that comes with seeing something that suggests all things are possible. The Oakland Raiders, for 17 years, pro football's winningest organization, were once again the world champions of professional football.
The Prince came calling. Prince Pete Rozelle. He had a silver.
Key to the Raiders' resurgence was the judge, cornerback Lester Hayes. Hayes, who tied an NFL record in 1980 with 13 interceptions, had 4 more called back because of penalty.
Lester Hayes had a year in 1980 where that was arguably the greatest year a corner has ever had. He just took the game over.
On the field, Hayes' play spoke volumes. Off the field, he struggled with a speech impediment.
Seems like you have fantastic jumping ability.
I was just saying like, I was on my, I was just saying like, was in high school, like I was a 5'10" postman. And I was on the state championship.
His stuttering. Lester approached that problem the same way he did everything else. He attacked it straight on. And he didn't make you feel uncomfortable with it because he knew that you saw that he was struggling through a word or whatever it was. He knew that. But he just stayed with it. And he expected that you would stay with it too.
Hayes worked tirelessly to improve his speech and used stickum to help his hands. Hayes put stickum everywhere and stuck to opposing receivers like glue.
Stickum. Stickum is no longer allowed in the National Football League.
There were so many things that happened that year with his stickum.
If you touched him, you would just stick. That's how he got all those interceptions.
Raider rule number 1. Cheating is encouraged. So, was it cheating? What Judge was doing was he was taking a rule and something that was allowed, and he was pushing it as far as it could go.
You knew that if you need stickum during the game, you didn't have to go to the bench. If Lester's on the field, you can just go to him. And I used to tell her, just stay away from me. You can imagine guys in a pile up, and all of a sudden they get out, and they got all of this stickum all over them, and that's the way Lester was. Every stinking play.
We were playing the Houston Oilers, and they had a center by the name of Karl Mock. They're getting ready to kick a field goal. They're in the huddle. Judge comes walking out, takes a big hunk of stickum, walks by the ball, kind of nonchalantly slaps it on the ball, and walks out. The Oilers come up, and Carlos reaches down and grabs the ball right on the stickum. And the veins pop out of his neck. And he's like, "You stuttering son of a bitch, did something to the ball." And he's screaming at the officials, and they're like, hey, come on down, calm down. Well, we came off the ball. Carlos snapped it over his head. He snapped it over his head, and I always wondered how much the stickum had to do with that.
In the wild card playoff game, Oakland sacked former Raider Ken Stabler 7 times and cruised to a 27-7 win.
The end is near, baby. The end is in sight for that.
In the fourth quarter, the judge delivered his final verdict.
One step and only give us the right to play next week. That's all. We got to do something about it. We got to do something about it next week. We got to go to work 1 o'clock tomorrow. That's everybody right. On time. Amen.
You guys should have got assigned to the Atlanta game. It's only 50 degrees down there. I'm trying to pick up.
We had to go to Cleveland. And I can recall we have to play this crazy game. I just remember how cold it was.
Cold. It was freezing. And Dave Dalby, our center's out there in a t-shirt. Why, I'll never know.
Listen up now. Hey, listen up. We're going to go regular and kick it right. And make sure with those heated benches over there, if you see anybody asleep, kick them in the ass.
The ground was completely frozen. The showers didn't work, and that wind was ferocious coming off the lake. There were about between 80 and 90 passes thrown in that game. Very few were completed against the wind.
Ron Bolton's interception return put Cleveland out front. The Raiders stayed with the Browns, and Mark Van Egen's touchdown with 9 minutes left gave Oakland a 2-point lead.
They were known through that whole period of 2-minute offense, the cardiac kids, and here they come again. And they started marching down the field again. And all we could do is stand there.
And the Raiders are in very, very difficult position.
And I'm standing there thinking, we've come this far, we fought this hard, and I can tell you, I never felt so low in my life.
They're going into the open end zone, where the dog pound was. We had already blocked 1 field goal going in there.
And we look at their bench, and we keep thinking they're going to kick, and that's going to be it, and we're going to lose, blah, blah, blah. Well, they go back for 1 more pass.
Red spotlight, halfback stay 88.
I just could not believe it. I don't think anyone on our sideline could believe it.
And I don't blame the play call. I mean, that's, you're taking a chance. Cockcroft already missed 2 extra points. They're afraid he's going to miss a field goal.
The ball on the 13-yard line of the Raiders, but with Cleveland needing only a field goal, the Browns appear to be in the driver's seat.
They came out on the play, and nobody thought they were going to throw.
Logan to the left, Rucker to the right. Sipe is going back to pass, wants to take a shot into the end zone. He looks, he throws, and it's a great play that may have been intercepted, and the Cleveland Browns call the chutzpah once too often. Holy Toledo! It was Mike Davis who made the big interception.
Mad Dog didn't catch the ball very well.
Could not catch a cold in Alaska barefooted.
But he made a phenomenal catch.
So you go from as low as you could possibly be, and in 1 snap of the ball, you go to the height and as high as you could possibly be. Also, I could not believe that Mike Davis actually caught the ball, because I'm telling you, he had absolutely the worst hands in that secondary.
For the AFC Championship game, Oakland went from the Cleveland Cold to the San Diego Sun.
We knew that going into the conference championship game that we were going to be playing our old rivals. We knew it was going to be at their place, but we were destined.
We thought we outplayed them the first time. We did outplay them the second time, so we approached the game with a lot of confidence.
Against the NFL's highest scoring team, Plunkett went to the air early and led Oakland to a 28-7 first half lead. San Diego responded with 17 unanswered points. Entering the fourth quarter, Oakland was worried.
They're getting back in the ball game, and Ted Hendricks grabs somebody by the jersey, and she starts shaking me. He says, "Keep scoring. We can't stop them." All we had to do was hold on to the ball, run out the clock, control it, and we're there. We were just minutes away from a Super Bowl, and for many of us, this is an opportunity we weren't going to let slip away. That game, though, in the end, when all was said and done, came down to our offensive line and Mark Van Eagle. Burgess Owens and I were standing on the sideline, and he'd say, "How do we do?" I said, "We picked up 6. 2 more first downs. 1 more first down, and the game is ours." And he said, "What happened?" And I said, we're going to the Super Bowl." And he was beside himself.
The total resurgence of the silver and black. New Orleans, here come the Raiders.
Oh, it's like any locker room with a big win. Uppy was, he was the philosopher. And
well, this one's a lot sweeter because in '77, I guess everyone kind of expected us to go. This year, no one said we'd go.
Kickham was matter of fact.
Yeah, they got their game rolling. They had the momentum going with them, but we did some changes in there, and we shut them down, and then let our offense take over, and they had a magnificent game.
There's some music on, and guys were dancing, and everybody's feeling pretty darn good about themselves.
I'm proud of you. New Orleans! New Orleans, here we come!
New Orleans during Super Bowl week is filled with distractions. For the Oakland Raiders, it was business as usual, even if business as usual for John Matusak meant breaking curfew.
Did John show up late? Yeah, he showed up late. Was he out in the town? Yeah, he was out in the town. He was going to do that regardless. If it was a regular season game, that's what he was going to do. No, this is a Super Bowl game, and everything's a lot different when it comes to Super Bowl. A lot of things tighten up. You know what I'm talking about? Things tighten up. The gluteus maximus tightens up. You can't even get a blade of grass up there. Some people.
Matusak was referring to Eagles coach Dick Vermeil. Vermeil publicly criticized Matusak's off-field behavior and put strict team rules in effect.
They could not go to Bourbon Street. They couldn't go into the French Quarter. They couldn't do anything. We also heard that there were curfews, and we also heard there were mandatory meetings at night. There was a tremendous amount of pressure on the Raiders because the Eagles were known for how they could not go and do things and have fun. And we felt we had the burden of all the other teams to knock them off that perch, because if they had won, we all would have been doing that.
The first night, as Tom, gave us no curfew, I believe, and let us go out and get it out of our system. But quite a few of the guys that we had large systems, and it took a few days to get it out of their systems.
The first night of curfew, there's no Matusak. He staggers on the bus as we're leaving to go to the press conference, and we asked Tuz, "Where have you been?" He said, "I was out And he looked like it. And so we asked him, Twos, after all of this discussion we had in practice, and we all decided it's time to get serious, we got work to do, this is a business trip, and you go out. His response was, I went out to make sure no one else was out there. That was what he said, and he sat down, and that was that.
Tom Flores tolerated the late nights, as long as the Raiders performed at practice.
Our practices down in New Orleans, they were brutal. They were brutal.
And I happened to be one of the guys that got into a fight with one of the defensive players because I thought he was going a little bit harder than he should be going.
I got into a fight with Mickey Marvin. I tried to kill him. I headbutted him into oblivion. I was letting everything out. It felt so good to be on the field.
By game day, not even world events could shake the Raiders' focus.
We drove to the Superdome, and there was a big yellow ribbon around the Superdome. I'm like, what the heck is that on there for? They said, well, the hostages are free. I'm like, hostages? Oh, that's right. There were some hostages. I was so focused on what was going on. I didn't have a clue what was going on in the world. Some would listen to that and say, well, that's great concentration, and others would listen to that and say, the kid needs a little perspective.
But we were there to play one more football game. And to go to that game and not to be prepared to play would have just been awful for what we had already accomplished. It wouldn't have meant anything.
Super Sunday, what a day. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's like a dream come true. It's unbelievable. Yes, and we're going to win. We are going to win, no question.
It was a great feeling. I was so proud to run out there. It was kind of like a storybook finish all coming to a head.
In some ways, the Super Bowl was anticlimactic because the best team in football, we thought, were the San Diego Chargers.
We knew the Eagles had beat us. We knew we could beat them. We knew that if they came in the way that they came into that game we played them in the season, we could beat them.
You know, I was ready once I stepped on that field. I still had something to prove to myself and to whoever else.
Plunkett on a straight drop back. Here comes the rush. Steps up. Can't find anybody yet. Takes off running to the left. Rolls on the move. And it's caught by King at the 40. King takes over the 50. He'll go all the way. Nobody knows. To the 20. To the 10. To the 5. Touchdown Raiders.
Plunkett's eating us alive.
In just 3 months, Jim Plunkett had gone from Heisman bust to super savior. 3 touchdown passes capped one of the greatest personal comebacks in NFL history.
Jim Plunkett had a masterful game. Rod Martin had a game for the ages. He was everywhere. He was everywhere. He had 3 interceptions. He wasn't Bobby Chandler, but with a little bit of stickum, he could hang on to the thing. That was probably compliments of the judge. He played as good a Super Bowl as any defender has ever played. Did not get the MVP. Jim Plunkett got the MVP. Jim deserved it, but Rod deserved it just as much.
I felt really, really good for Jim because he had paid his dues, just like everyone else. But it meant a lot to him to be the guy that led us through that Super Bowl.
It was a great feeling. Finally accomplished something that everybody who ever gets in the NFL wants to do.
The only suspense that remained was whether the tension between Rozelle and Davis would affect the presentation of the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Never will forget him telling us, we beat these guys, we go in that locker room, you be gentlemen, you show respect, and that's the way we will approach this.
I think it's a great credit to you for putting this team together. You've earned it. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Commissioner. This was our finest hour. This was the finest hour in the history of the Oakland Raiders. To Tom Flores, the coaches, and the great athletes, you were magnificent out there today.
We were the best team. We deserve to be world champions. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of
You know, when you look back at the years of glory of the Oakland Raiders, but this was our finest hour. This was the finest hour in the history of the Oakland Raiders. to Tom Flores, the coaches, and the great athletes. You were magnificent out there today. You really are. And take pride and be proud. Your commitment to excellence and your will to win will endure forever. You were magnificent.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold, and the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.